Hello, everyone. How you doing? Oh, what is this? Christmas Eve? Hello, everyone. Is that what they call it? Is there a name for this day? What is this? There's not a name for this day, is there?
No. Let me see.
The Eve of Eves.
Christmas Eve has become like another holiday. Christmas was Christmas, and now Christmas Eve has become like a holiday in and of itself. And so you have Christmas Eve.
Pre-Christmas Eve.
Pre-Christmas. We just came from the mall, and it was a madhouse. Let me tell you, it was crazy. We had things that we had to do. I got 2 Christmases tomorrow, and then I got another one on Sunday. And then we have to have ours sometime next week. We don't even have time to have a Christmas of our own. Forget it. It's too much. We're just trying to get everything into the new house, which does seem to have some weirdness going on.
Well, I mean, Alex walking around in it, so it could be.
Well, beside that weirdness, we got. So we got a show tonight. Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com. Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com. Patreon.com/PRT Podcast if you want to help. Become a Patreon member. It helps pay for the show. And it does help us keep going here. I see Jared King TV. Jared's going to be coming on as a guest in a little while. And so just bear with me, Jared. We're getting a late start here. So if you can hang in there for about an hour, we'll get you on. Trying to get Christmas stuff going and get it done today with all the stuff I got to do tomorrow. When I get off, I got to go run and help with a post, an assignment. And then I got to, because we got a deep freeze going on. So we got people's pipes bursting, and this happens every year. Literally every year, but it doesn't usually happen this early. We usually don't start fire watches until January, February, when the irresponsible people don't fix their pipe.
We'll leave it on drip.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's apartment complexes typically, and for some reason they just don't. They always have busted pipes, and we end up having a bunch of fire watches. So we're going to have that again next week, I'm sure. We're going to try and do our best. So I got to get out there, and then I got to get home and try to wrap some presents and get some help with the organization of it and get it all going.
The logistics of the meat, which is going to be.
Oh my gosh, dude! We do a meat. We give away meat every year. It's a food drive thing we do. We got a late start this year because of the move into the house. But like I promised, what you got there, buddy? That's really loud. Well, like I promised, we are going to do a heavy giveaway today. So I got my notebook. Here, my trusty spiral notebook. You know, my grandfather used to have to walk to school uphill both ways in the snow. He got attacked by bears, and he got attacked by Dogman and Krampus. Yeah, Krampus used to come out and he would attack my grandfather. He fought them off with a loose leaf notebook and his number 2 pencil.
And drive and willpower.
And it was during the blizzard and a heat wave going on at the same time. Yeah.
And Man Bear Pig was just everywhere. And then my dad had to do the same thing. He had the same situation, except his was even worse. He had all that going on, plus his dad and the older generation yelling at him for being a hippie. So that was the horror that he had to face.
Yeah, us kids nowadays have it easy. We don't know what it was like back then.
Yeah,
they had it rough.
Yeah, so that's what's going on with that, and so, but back then you could buy a house for $1.50, and you could buy a loaf of bread for free.
Hey,
you walk in and just said, "Hey, here I found some acorns and a leaf," and they give you a loaf of bread, a pound of bacon, some salt pork to go with it, and
a wife
and some eggs.
Oh, don't complain, you ungrateful Gen Xer.
And a Conestoga
wagon
to
yourself
drive
up by your bootstraps.
Salt, sugar, coffee, all of that. They all had it all. Anyways, we're just kidding, folks. We're hacking on. And then nowadays, though, the millennials, they're just like, they want all of that and a house, and they don't want to even pay the $1.50.
Yeah.
Oh, $1.50 is too much nowadays.
Let's put these spectacles
on. It's really y'all's fault for not spanking us like you were supposed to.
Oh, I did. When you nearly burned my house down, I don't know. Did I smack you? I don't think I did.
No.
Dang it! I
should have.
Yeah.
Would have avoided what happened at the mall. He was very responsible at the mall.
Now it came back to bite you in the butt.
That's right. I should have smacked you guys around.
I'm actually upset with you for not smacking me
Zane
around
was
more.
the main
You
one.
did me
that
a
needed to
disservice by not beating me.
He was
I hope you're
horrible.
proud of yourself, Wolf.
I lived at Zane's high school. I knew all the wings, everything. So it says here, Mexi97 says, we know they are real aliens, I guess. They're Merry Christmas, PRT 100. Appalachian Tales of Terror with Jimmy Blanton. Hey, Jimmy Blanton, how you doing? Merry Christmas, my friend. Would love to be on your show and talk about my sighting. Yes, absolutely. I got a bunch of stuff. I already got my guest lined up for next week. She's been on TV. She's going to come in next week, and we're just going to keep going. We got people every week. Danita Whitson, okay, you got to give me your information because we got all the mail-offs from last week done, but we didn't get you. And then we still have the person that won the, you know how we posted on the group, the Paranormal Roundtable group. Let me see what I got here. I got to find you. Boy, it's cold in here. Trying to figure out who it was that we picked as the winner, and I'm sitting here scratching my head going like, I wanted to announce that you won. I know you won. Man, I've had a lot of conversations since then. This phone's just spinning. I can't get it to... Okay. It's stuck. I don't know if you can do something with that. It won't stop. Anyway, your comment was picked. I think it was Jesse Lichtenberg or Lichtenberg. I think that was who won it, but I'm not 100% on that. We're going to start off with some stories, folks. Give me a few minutes, and I'm going to get started. We're going to jump right into it. We got some stuff to talk about. It's Christmas time, and after I pleaded with people to give me some Krampus stories, I got about 3. One of them's I think it's really good. It's really creepy, and you know it may be Krampus, maybe it's not. I don't know, but it seemed pretty Krampusy to me. But anyway, I can jump right into it here. So, and then we also have Santa Claus stories. As weird as that sounds, I beat the bushes and I managed to get some, and I had to go into some other people's stuff and ask them for permission and stuff like that. But they were like, "Yeah, go ahead, retell them, no biggie." We had one in a group that somebody had posted, have you ever had anything weird happening during Christmas time with Santa Claus? So I'm going to let you, the audience, decide. Who do we start with? Do we start with
Want to be
Saint
naughty
Nick?
or nice?
Do we start with Saint Nick or do we start with Krampus? His well, I don't want to say his nemesis. What would he be?
It's not really nemesis because he just punishes the bad kid, right? I mean, I don't know.
Let me see my phone.
Antithesis?
Not working, huh?
No, I mean the last message that loads is like a year
It
ago.
just keeps...
I mean, are you?
Oh,
looking,
it jumped. That's what it did. It did that thing where it goes like...
Are you looking for a message from someone in particular?
Yeah, and it did that jumpy thing it does where it's all the way down to 2020 all of a sudden.
Because if you type in their name, it'll pull up y'all's conversation.
I don't know who it was.
That's
that's
the
what
thing.
I'm
He was
trying
trying to
figure
get
out.
the name.
Like Messenger does this thing where it kicks out all of your stuff, and it'll go down to for the month, and then it goes from November 30th, and then it jumps all the way to like July of 2021, and like everybody in between is just gone.
Like that comment from Cooper, Krampus and his sleigh of not deer.
Weird how like I know I was using Messenger to talk to a lot of people, and then all of a sudden they took that away to where it's like it's made it, they've made it hard to do. And then there was this other thing that's been happening where my subscribers numbers have just basically ground to a halt. Every day it's like I get 2 or 3 new subscribers, and then the next day they're unsubscribed. And then you'll get 2 or 3 new ones, and then they're unsubscribed. So we're like stuck in a holding pattern with YouTube. I don't know what's going on. It's really weird. It was Facebook has stopped me at 8.3. With my group, it's just not growing. They stopped it. And apparently all these people keep getting unsubscribed, and they keep saying that they're trying to, and then they. Yes, it was Jesse. I want to say Lichtenberger. That's your name. You were the winner, and I have not been able to get your stuff out, but I will. You want a free book, and of course I always throw in a few extras. But everybody wins a book every week. There's a book, and we do it. We post the link to the show on the Facebook Paranormal Roundtable group, and it's on Facebook, and then you can go and leave a comment, tell us that we're great, tell us we suck, I don't know, say whatever, and then you can win. Okay, and Danita Whitson, you can send me the message through email. If you can't do Facebook, that's fine. Appalachian Tales of Terror with Jimmy Blanton says, what did I win? Did you win, Jimmy? I don't remember. But we are going to pick people. How many people we're going to pick today? Throw a number out there.
What did we say?
12 days of Christmas.
I say 12, at least 12.
12 days of Christmas.
12 last time.
Yeah. We're gonna pick 12 different people from the audience, and then we're still going to do when we do the drop, we'll still do one or two, because it's Christmas time. We'll do a couple on there for the free books. So, P-Head, how's it going, P-Head? P-Head Incorporated, I believe if you haven't won, I'd like to pick you, and you're in England, I believe. And if you're in England, you can still participate, because I got a guy over there, a really great guy who's got a show, Truth Proof, with Paul Sinclair. Paul Sinclair can send you one of his books. And a lot of them are Dogman-based stuff, real good stuff. Guy's great. He used to go on, what's his name show? Cummins, whatever his name is. He used to come on he used to go on his show, and so, yeah, he doesn't go on there anymore, like most people that have woken up. But anyway, he's been on my show, and I've been on his show, and we've recorded together. Great guy, Paul Sinclair. Check out his work. I wish I could get him to go to the Dogman Conference, which is now going to be in Fort Worth. Did I tell you all that?
Yeah.
We're moving it to Fort Worth because everybody said, oh, it's going to be too hard to get out there to, Roswell. Oh, okay, fine. Bat Squatch 94, thank you. $50 donation. Oh my gosh, says let's do what we can to help Wolf and the PRT team grow the show. Bat Squatch, have you won? If you haven't won, you just won. You made a donation, buddy, and I'm going to send you a hoodie. So you let me know, but you got to give me your information, guy. So that's one right there. Let's start with Fat Squatch. Thank you for that donation, David Buckholz. Fat Squatch 94. David, have you won? I'm going to pick you too. How about that? These people are donating. They're helping support the show. Even during Christmas time, I know when money's tight, and we have spent a ton of money trying to get things done. Is Nellie still outside?
No, she's in the next room.
Okay. So Bernard Fox says, awesome, Fort Worth, I'm going. I hope so. And somebody says they love Paul's Truth Proof show. It is good. I watched it the other day. It was really good. And Danita, like I said, just do email. All you got to do is email me, joshturner@prtpodcast.com. Fat Squatch says, no, I have not won yet. What you did today. Just hit me up on Messenger or through email and give me your information so I can, and we can keep it going here. If you have not won, okay, just let us know on there, hey, I haven't won. Okay, we like to pick people who haven't won, and even if you have, and if nobody else steps up, then you can win again. I have some people who've won twice. I've had one person win 3 times because they always comment on Facebook, in the group. They always comment, and they've won it 3 times because other people aren't commenting. When you have 15 people on there and all of them have won, you're going to end up with somebody who won. No BS. One time we had 21 people in there, and every one of them had won. So we picked somebody who won. Athena says, it's so cold, my feet hurt. Yes, it is freezing down here. It's like, right now, I think it's like 22 degrees. Everybody's like, oh, it's colder up here where I'm at. Well, we're in Texas, okay? We're down in central Texas, in the heart of Texas. It ain't supposed to be like this. It does happen. It happens about 3 times a year that it gets down into the 20s, maybe the teens, typically, but not usually in December. This is like the very beginning of winter. People don't realize that Christmas, December is not really, it's still kind of, it's the end of fall. And then, it starts about the 23rd, 22nd. What is it? 22nd yesterday was the day, first day of winter, the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So you got something on your hat there, buddy.
Oh, you didn't take the sticker off.
Yeah. You just grabbed the new one. That's cute. You just gave yourself a hat. Those guys is taking hats. So David Buckholz, give me your information, and we will. And it says Matt Keene says, "Love you, Josh. Still like to share my whole story with you one day. Have a blessed holiday." Yes, I would love that too. So, yeah, Amy says I have won 2 times. Yeah, see, Amy's won twice. Athena says I have not won. Jessica Lynn says I haven't won. Y'all be keeping track of these people's names, okay? Thank you, Esteban, for that donation. Okay, so what we're going to start off with, Krampus or Santa Claus. What do you guys want? You got to tell me in the chat here what you guys want to do.
And in the meantime, I can't remember who at this point, but one of y'all had asked, it's a very simple question. Do you have to pay to win? The answer is no.
No.
Your super chats are very much appreciated, but they're not expected or required to win a giveaway.
No. I just picked the first couple people who did it. Krampus. People are more interested in Krampus. Nobody likes old Saint Nick, although the ones with Santa Claus, they're pretty weird. I'm not gonna lie. They're not all jolly old, whatever. Maybe an elf, but he's not real jolly. And a couple of them, they're kind of dark. I'm not gonna lie. I think one of them, I don't think it was Santa. I think it was something. Cooper Young says, "But if we bribe you," so that's up to you. You can try. Okay. So we'll start with Krampus. Now I got one. This happened in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Is everybody ready? Because everybody seems kind of like they're moving around and doing stuff. Let's get settled in here. Okay. Well, somebody says, "Do we have any stories on the wee? What does that mean? What is that?"
Never heard of that one.
Okay. So, thank you for the donation. It says, I won the Barton Nunley action figure. Merry Christmas, everyone. Saw. Thank you for that donation. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you. So here's what happened. This one happened in the Upper Peninsula up in Michigan, and it was they were children at the time that it happened. And there's a lot of weird stuff that happens when you're a kid, and then you're told by an adult, that didn't happen. That's not real. And the reason I think it was Krampus, it was the description of the creature, and it was December. And get this, the sighting happened on December 6th. Now, if I remember correctly, Krampus, doesn't he do his dark bidding like on the 5th or something like that?
I don't know the timetables of Krampus.
Well, I mean,
I assumed
what's her name? Morgan Knudsen was on the show, and she talked about, I think it was December 5th, and so did Anne Celine. Nellie. If Nellie can be so kind as to reach out to Ann and message her, Ann could tell us, because her dad used to sell stamps, or he used to create stamps, and some of them were Krampus. Can you message your friend and ask her what day Krampus is supposed to go out and beat kids?
Because
kids on the street, kids on the beat kids. You remember that? No? You remember that? Where they go up and the kid talks? It's Beat News or whatever. I always thought, what the heck? Why would she be beating kids? But Krampus apparently does, because Krampus is evil. And Celine. So what we're doing here at Paranormal Roundtable, okay, we do not condone Krampus's actions. In fact, we think he's a child abuser and he's a bad guy. But they said that these kids are really bad. They do really bad things. Well, they're kids. You don't know what they're going to... They may grow up to be serial killers. We don't know
Well,
that.
that just goes back to what we were saying a few minutes ago about why you should spank your kids so Krampus don't do it for you. Because he'll put them in a bag and beat them with a stick.
Well,
and throw
according
'em
to
in a river.
Morgan Knudsen, in Germany, they actually have the people dress up as Krampus, and the children know that it's the neighbors.
Yeah.
But the neighbors come up into the house and beat the crap out of the kids with sticks.
Yeah, they go out on the street and attack kids.
Yeah.
And they carry a bag of coal. I just watched this short.
Yeah, I actually talked to one of my friends from Germany. It doesn't happen in the major cities because they'll go to jail, but they still do it in some of the smaller hamlets and villages. Yeah, they do it.
But I here it's the first of snow. Like as soon as they see the first snow, then they do it.
That's what it is. Well, this one happened up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Let me get to the story here. And it happened to two children. And one was 11 and one was 12, and they were brothers. They were Irish twins, basically, which means they were born a year apart like your brothers. And they were...
It started on December 5th.
It's December 5th, right? I know it already passed. I mean, it's almost Christmas time. Okay. Well, anyway, I got to do the show. So tell her to tune in. So thank you, though, Ann. Appreciate it. It's December 5th. So this happened on December 6th. So do the math. I mean, if something happened, it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. What is it?
A monkey.
A goose. Okay. So anyway, these kids, they were out running around, throwing snowballs at their friends, the neighbors, whatever. One of the neighbor kids, the person that told me this story, this guy's 41 years old now, so he's not a young kid anymore. He's a grown up. But he said that one of the neighbors told him that they saw a weird creature with little horns on its head crawling through the snow and digging like it was looking for something. And so one of the neighbor kids threw a snowball at it. And when the thing looked up at him, it hissed and its tongue came out like, and he's like, I didn't think anything of it at the time because they didn't know what Krampus, they didn't know anything about Krampus, they didn't know anything about what it was, what it could have been. And of course, I'm trying to ascertain, is this like a Bigfoot? Is this a dog man?
It's just a goat man.
What could this be? Because it's weird. For the very least, it's a very weird thing, right? So he goes, no, and this guy, he knows. He says, no, man, it wasn't a dog man, it wasn't a Bigfoot, it wasn't chupacabra. It was, what I saw was definitely, but it was kind of goat-like. So I thought maybe goat man, So anyway, they threw a snowball at it. Well, get this. The next night, that was like early in the month. Like they said, it was like in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like it was that week going into December. The next night, which I don't know if it was late November, early December, this thing scratches. Well, I say this thing. I gave it away. It scratched at the window, and the kid's little brother. There were two of them that were not the guy that told me the story and his brother, but this other kids that did it. This kid that threw a snowball at it was about 8 or 9, and he had a little brother that was real little, like a little older than a toddler, like 5 or something like that. He goes to the window and he opens it, and there standing right there is a horned creature with big floppy ears. The way they described it, had big ears and a big nose, and it had little horns that were spiraled, and that it smelled like fire, like sulfur. The kid told me, he said, dude, I thought something was on fire. I thought my house was on fire. And so I got up, and my little brother said, hey, there's a man at the window, because he could see something moving around. And the little brother, who obviously is pretty stupid, it's like, I don't know this guy. He could be listening to the show. I don't know. But this guy, he goes up to the window and he opens the curtain, and they're staring at this creature this was at dusk, that very clearly could see that this creature looked like a goat-like entity with weird-looking horns, and it was licking the window that had like frost on it, dude, and like it had this really elongated tongue, which oftentimes you hear about Krampus. It has his tongue protruding.
But it's also like a forked one, isn't it, normally?
I don't know about forked or not. They didn't tell me that this was a forked tongue. Not all of them. Some of the pictures, yeah, but some of them aren't. But this one wasn't. They didn't say anything about forked tongue. Anyway, this is a story that the kid told at school. I don't know about the tongue, whatever. But so the other kids were like, yeah, right, that's not true. That didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. Well, as they go into December, they're outside playing, and it snowed, and they were building a snowman, and they were playing around, and when one of them sees something moving around through the trees, and of course it's a lot of sparse trees or whatever. It gets really cold up there, and the leaves fall and die quicker, when it's cold. And so they could see this thing like running around through the woods because there wasn't a lot of coverage. And he said that when it ran, it was like a blur. But when it would stop, it would kind of like it looked almost like when it moved, it was like a whirlwind. He said it was like, and it would go to one spot and then go to another spot. And I asked him, I said, can you describe this whirlwind that you saw? He says, you ever seen the cartoon, The Tasmanian Devil? Like with the Warner Bros. Cartoon.
Yeah.
Look at how the Tasmanian, he said it almost was like that, but like in real life. And he said that it like zipped around, and then it was making this weird humming sound, like a buzzing humming sound. And so he said that it stopped in between two trees, and it was like holding like itself out, like protruding out. Skinny body, the lower legs absolutely looked like goat-like, like a goat man. Now, like I said, it could be a goat man. It's still a cryptid. It's still a weird creature, right? Or an inhumanoid, as Barton Nunley would say. Barton Nunley always says it's humanoids, but I don't know. But it's holding itself up between two trees. And when he saw this creature, immediately he thought, this has to be what my friend, I think he said his friend's name was Jerry or Gerald or something. He goes, that's what Jerry saw, him and his little brother. So there were 4 kids. They all take off running in different directions. Everybody's screaming for their lives. The creature literally zipped out in front of his younger brother and impeded him and grabbed his little brother. This is why I think it was Krampus, and started trying to drag him into the woods. Sorry for laughing, but
I'm not.
Okay, the person that told me this. Okay, now I'm going to say this because the person that told me this, he said that him and his little brother was such a mean little turd and was so bratty that his first reaction, and he says, I hate to say this to this day, it's a horrible thing to think about, but he goes, my first reaction was not to help him. Yeah, exactly. But he said that he's dragging his brother by his foot, and by the grace of God, his boot came off, like they had Galatians or whatever. I don't know if you know what Galatians are. That's what he said that they were wearing. And he had a little toboggan on, and that's what we called beanies back in the 80s and 90s, were toboggans. Up north, they called them that. Now it's beanie. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, he had a little toboggan on, they had a little ball on top of it, whatever. And he said that that came off and the boot came off, and he was screaming for his life. And one of the other kids ran bravely. It was a girl. And she ran up and tried to throw a stick at it, and then it turned and kind of hissed at her. And they said that you could see like this steam coming off its back, and the back of it looked almost like a hairy man. Not like how like you would see like fur on an animal, you know what I mean? It was like a man who's like got a lot of hair on his back.
Yeah.
Like this guy needs to shave, you know what I mean? And so it was very gross looking, and he said it stunk like sulfur and poop. And he said that the neighborhood kids, one of them ran, and they got an adult, then another adult came. So this was rural Michigan, right? So they come out there, and there's 3 or 4 of them with guns, and the little kid is just laying there crying. Creature's gone. And it's at the edge of the woods, and he said, dude, this was crazy. Like he said, it was like the whole little community, it was like on the edge of a town or whatever. And he said that they all took off inside, got their kids and ran inside, whatever. This creature was gone. It just had disappeared. And they said that when the parents went back out there, they picked the kid up, they looked down, there were no footprints. It left no trace of itself. Now, to me, the way it moved in between the trees and all the things that transpired screams supernatural entity to me. But it was in that area because somebody had thrown a snowball at it like a few days after Thanksgiving. So, I mean, what is that? Now, there was one other encounter with it. The man that told me this story said when he was a kid, he said his parents didn't let him go outside for 3 or 4 days because they thought there was a guy running around wearing a devil mask. That's what they thought it was. Because there had been a sighting of it in that little subdivision or whatever. And it said that somebody had seen a man wearing a devil mask looking in someone's window. And so I asked him, I said, is it possible that what you guys witnessed as children was no more than a psycho guy that was just wearing a mask? I mean, is it possible? You know? And he said, absolutely not. He said, what I saw was either the best special effects makeup I've ever seen, or it was a demon of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we started talking about it, I said, do you think it was Krampus? When he gave me that story, he said, yeah, I thought about it, but it wasn't until I heard you on your show talk about Krampus. He said, so I went and I immediately looked it up. Now, he gave me this story, unfortunately, it slipped through the cracks, but he gave me this story earlier this year in January, after Christmas. And so I didn't get around to looking at it. I lost that story. It kind of fell through the cracks. So he reiterated it to me. He messaged me, and I said, okay. And so when he gave me that story, I said, man, I gotta tell this one on the show. Do I think it was Krampus? I have no idea. But consider this. Him and his dad were working in their, they had like a 1 acre, the plots were like 1 acre, you know. And he said that they were out in the back of the shed and they were doing a project, his dad, and it was getting closer to Christmas, and his dad was a woodworker. And what he was doing was sawing out little Christmas, like he had patterns.
Uh-huh.
And so he would saw like pieces of wood, and then he would cut them, and they were basically Christmas ornaments, and then him and his brother would paint them. And that's something they really enjoyed doing, and they had a couple of neighborhood kids that would help. And so he was cutting out Christmas ornaments about 3 or 4 days after this incident. And they turn and they look, and his dad freaks out, and he tells him, he says, you know, get behind me. And then eventually he grabs his son, and they run inside, and then his dad says, stay put, and he goes and grabs his gun, a rifle, and goes back outside, and he's looking out the window. And his dad goes around the other side of the shed. Well, then later that night, he hears him tell his mother that he saw that the creature. He goes, that was no man in a mask. He goes, it looked like a demon. And he goes, it had like its tongue was flopping around, and it had weird looking horns, and he could smell the sulfur, and he thought that he had smelled it too. And he said, dude, it was really cold, but it wasn't like below freezing or anything like that. And he said it was really cold. But when this thing would come around, it was like a cold that would chill into your bones, you know. So there's that story right there. And then he said, you know, it went away. Nothing ever happened. He said it scared his brother forever. His brother wouldn't play outside for years until they moved from there, and they moved down to the lower peninsula of Michigan. And so he said that for years his brother wouldn't play up there, you know. And now here's the weird thing. In that same area, you get Dogman. Because Michigan Dogman, you know. So I had one that somebody had sent me. I had mentioned something about Coldwater, Michigan one day, and somebody had sent me a message and said, hey, I had an encounter with something near Coldwater, Michigan. Now, if you look it up on a map and look up Coldwater, Michigan. Now, they said this was from the south of it, and they said that it was a Goatman type creature. But it wasn't... like, how do you say it? I'm not going to say it wasn't show worthy, but it wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't like something we can tell a whole dissertation about. It was just, they were out riding their bikes and they saw something that looked goat-like running parallel to them, but about 50 yards over to the right. And then it stood up and it got on its hind legs and ran for a little bit and then got back down. And so I thought that's weird. Do you want to tell people where Coldwater, Michigan is?
Coldwater, Michigan is in the south, the southern part of Michigan, the mid part, not the upper part, kind of on the border, close to the border with Indiana and Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I had gotten a story. There's a town that's right outside of there in Indiana, close to that area. I would say probably 60, 70 miles maybe from there. And I believe, if I'm correct, and this creature fit a description very similar to a Dogman. The only difference is that it had little horns on its head.
But
and it was running alongside of these people's RV as they were traveling from Indiana up into Michigan to go camping. And so I thought that's interesting. You know, if you look at Michigan as a dogman state, you know, has like, but then there's like these goatman encounters, and then you get what may or may not have been Krampus. I'm not saying that, and also Krampus is not. It's kind of like a Gorgon. You know what a Gorgon is?
No,
A Gorgon is Medusa. Medusa was a Gorgon. There was a
Yeah, the
species.
creature itself is called a gorgon. It's a snake lady, basically. But Medusa was the specific one where it was, like she was a priestess who was cursed by, I think it was Athena or Aphrodite, because she was very beautiful, and she turned into a gorgon. But people confuse those creatures as Medusas, but the actual name is
the
Gorgon.
Gorgon is like a race of like beings. Then
Yeah.
Okay.
To
But
me,
yeah,
they're all just, you know, from the Anunnaki. They're all, what do you call them?
Nephilim.
Nephilim, yeah. Jim Kovac, thank you for that donation. I didn't mean to skip you, brother. That's a big one. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for that. Amy, thank you for the donation. Roz Cleveland donation. No need to send me anything. Bought shirts and stuff at the conference. Thank you, Roz. Appreciate it.
isn't there?
Madeline, thank you. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. My husband and I can't wait to the next conference. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for going to the conference. And Rebecca Salzo, thank you for that donation. We appreciate everything that we get, because right now we could definitely use it. I'm telling you, man, Christmas is, it is what it is. So if you look at this case, you know, and we're not going to go into a long, because I got a couple other stories to tell, but Krampus?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Or is that stretching it? I don't know.
no, I mean, well, the thing is, I think that these things could be like something like something that's been around for longer than we think, because there was one commenter, I think it was Rachel Poole in the live chat. She said she just left a comment saying Seder. So
Yeah.
Krampus might not be like just one thing. It could just be like
A race,
yeah,
because
like
Krampus,
a
I believe
race
they
of
are a
satyrs.
race, because
And it might not even necessarily be that they're after bad kids. They just want kids, but the parents just use them as a scare tactic. I mean, don't use, but like
maybe they come out in the winter.
yeah, like I'm saying that maybe there's something about the winter that allows them to come out, and they want kids. They don't really care if it's good or bad kids, but the parents know these things exist, and they'll be like, well, if you're bad, the Krampus or the satyr is going to come out and get you.
What I was gonna say, which is always fun time about Christmas time, is that you can't really figure out if a Goatman story is a Krampus story, because they often have such similar features. One of the only really distinct features that separates the two is the long tongue. You know, and that's why it's so weird when you hear these stories, you know, being told, because then you have to try to piece it together and go, is this Krampus? Is this just a regular Goatman sighting that people are confusing because of the time of year? And it might be a situation where, like, that's exactly how the Krampus story came to being, is that they just, you know, they were more prolific in the winter time, or the at a certain time, and then people are like, oh, it must have something to do with Christmas, and they slowly started making a story about it to scare kids. Because, I mean, that's the Krampus story is something that you would tell a bad kid to get him to act right. I mean, if you tell him, like, hey, if you do good, then Santa's going to come and give you gifts. But if you do bad, then this thing is going to come beat you. It's going to come give you coal. It's going to take you away and do all kinds of things. And it doesn't even have normal elves. It has little demon elves that follow it or whatever.
Little goblins.
Little goblins. It's just a funny thing.
So here I'm going to tell you. This one came out of trying to think. This one was near Sacramento, California, and this one happened. I guess it would be east of Sacramento, and it was a very. Here's what's weird. I got two in Northern California, or North Central, I guess, California. One of them is to the east, yeah, and it is near Lake Tahoe. And I have another one that involves something that could be described as Krampus, and both of them were in California. One of them is near Sacramento. Now, they said that we'll start with the one near Tahoe. The one that happened near Tahoe, there's a road. I've been down it a couple times, and you go from Tahoe to Reno, and it's like this long wind, and it's just steep. People driving way too fast, like always. It's like when you drive from like Leadville to Denver. It's like that kind of road that's real bad. People drive like crap, and they're used to it, so they don't care if you're not from there. That's tough titty for you. They just don't care. But this road, okay. So anyway, it was late at night, and this person was driving, and I say this Krampus because it was. This one wasn't as supernatural. The next one's going to be more supernatural, but this one, they saw this thing like hunched down on the side of the road, and there was traffic going. He said it was about 1 o'clock at night, and they were heading into Reno, but they were leaving. They were going from Lake Tahoe to Reno, and they're right outside of Lake Tahoe, and they see this thing crouched down on the side of the road. And what's really weird about this one is that it waited until they were like almost right there on it. They could see it, and then it darted out in front of their vehicle, but then it went so fast it was like a blur, and then it crossed over to the other side of the highway, and the other people like swerved and almost went into a head-on into them, and they both swerved back and got control of their vehicle. And you would think, oh, that's crazy, that's weird, right? Well, they were part of a convoy. I don't mean like big trucks. I mean like they had family and stuff. And so when they finally get into Reno, they start comparing notes because the sister of one of the people that was sitting in the passenger seat, her sister or sister-in-law, I guess, called and said, "Hey, did you just see that thing that ran out in front of the road?" And they said, "Yeah." Well, when they get to the hotel that they were going to be staying at, I believe it was Atlantis or something like that. They went to Reno. They were driving, like I said, from Tahoe. They were on a vacation, and it was the roads were bad, and it was icy, snowy. People were driving way too fast, like they always do. And she said, "Did you just see that creature?" Well, apparently it did this 2 or 3 times. It went back and forth in front of the traffic, and 2 or 3 vehicles together, right? And all together, I think she said there were 5. There were 5 vehicle loads of people. It was like a family thing. And she said that it was all the brothers and sisters and their children, and they had gone on a trip, and they decided to go to the whatever. But these weren't little kids; the kids were grown, But the older people were in their 50s and 60s, whatever. But they said, "Did you see this thing run across the road?" He said, "Yeah." Well, there were 5. Like I said, there were about 5 vehicles. The first 3 were right there together, and then there were 2 that were further back. It ran out in front of their vehicle too. And it happened in December. What's going on? I'm sorry, folks. The door keeps open. So it happened in December, but it was in the middle of December, and I believe it was like December 12th or 13th, something like that. I can't remember exactly what day they said it was. But when they were driving, when this thing ran out in front of them or whatever, like it looked like it had something in its hand in front of the second 2 vehicles, and it actually threw it, like some debris or something. This is weird, okay? Onto their vehicles, and whenever they got to a stopping point, it looked like manure.
Nice.
Like goat crap.
You just got trolled by a cryptid.
So I thought, I mean, and as weird and funny as that sounds, that's not unprecedented. I mean, if we're getting into the ugly of what these creatures do, and not just Krampus or Goatman, but Dogman do it too. We've gotten stories, and Anthony and Tony, I'll know this is true. We've gotten stories of them and Bigfoot throwing feces.
Oh yeah. I mean, they'll throw anything to really mess with you. If it's a dead carcass, rocks, stones, boulders, stuff that you throw at them. I mean, they're pretty brutal about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So Dick Richards says, Wolf the Goatman demon is called a Sarim, and were physical goatmen that were worshipped by them in conjunction with Baal. Yeah, by the Canaanites, and then of course he says the Hebrews later, because they were worshiping the Canaanite gods too. Well, here's the thing. The second 2 car, the front car that was with the other 2, whatever, got feces thrown on it, which said it looked like goat crap.
Mhm.
One of the guys that was there used to raise goats, and he said, dude, he had cows, he had goats and whatever in California, and he said this is manure,
Definitely.
like goat crap.
Is there a difference? I mean, you
But
haven't
I mean,
been-
this was a satyr-looking creature, whereas Goatman looks to me. The Goatman has the goat head and the human-like body, and it's more. And that's what I think of when I think of Goatman. I think of the ram-horned head creature, the goat head creature. This had a human-like appearance with little horns. Wasn't real big, so yeah, more like a satyr.
Yeah, I mean, satyr is like what you would think of Narnia, the little Timble dude, or like Pan. You know, it's very obviously human all the way up to the head with little horns. You know, human face still, even maybe just a little hairier. But Goatman specifically seems to be goat head, human body, goat legs.
Yeah, Renee says goat pellets would bounce off. Not necessarily, not if it's wet, which apparently it was. It was like sleeting and snowing and whatever kind of crap. Not real bad, they said, but it was, you know, so maybe it decided to throw some.
And if you got like
Poop.
a handful of them, you kind of squish them together in a little
Yeah.
ball for
Or they just
maximum
got stuck. I
aerodynamic.
didn't ask the details of
Yeah.
it, but it got stuck in the windshield and on the windshield.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to
I mean,
think
if it was
about that.
thrown with enough force as well, it would stick.
Somebody says there's definitely a difference between goat crap and cow crap. Yeah, we're not here to talk about the differences
Yeah.
between the different
Maneuvers.
What are the different textures?
species. And you're like,
Hmm.
oh, that's definitely cow. That's a
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me squeeze it in between my fingers. See what the. Oh yeah, that's
Well,
definitely
this
from a
person
horse.
though that was with them, one of the older gentlemen said that he had raised cows and he had raised goats and he had raised sheep, and he said that it was definitely the goat crap. So anyway, that was a weird story, and they were talking about it when they got to the hotel, and everybody was giving their take on it, whatever. Do I think that was Krampus? I don't know. Just the fact that it was in December. We're looking at it like, hey, it's a goat man. It's December. But
A
here's
little
one.
bit of A, a little bit of B. Who knows?
Here's one for you. I'm gonna go back to the next Krampus one, but first I'm gonna go to Santa Claus. Okay, so I can tell you this. When I was a child, I believed in Santa Claus. Now, how many of you guys out there believed in Santa Claus? And don't lie. Let's be honest. Who believed in Santa Claus as a kid? I'm gonna go around the table. Alec, did you believe in Santa Claus as a kid? Yeah, of course you did. I know you did. I remember, and I know you did, Tony. You didn't believe in Santa Claus as a kid.
No, because pretty much
Lying sack of worms.
we didn't really celebrate
I don't know, 'cause
Christmas
his
until
mom was
Chad.
Pretty,
Yeah, but he believed in Santa Claus. What about you?
mean.
I know Leah did.
Leah did
Sister,
because she
yeah.
was around when Chad was around. But
Yeah, well, what do you?
Yeah, I believe in
Of
Santa
course
Claus.
you did. I believed in Santa Claus too. Okay, but that pretty much ended when I was like in first grade. I was like, I think I was 5 or 6. I was pretty young when I figured it out. It was like, hey, this isn't.
well, the
yeah, of
problem
course.
is like nowadays kids can just go, "Is Santa Claus real?" on Google, and they'll tell them no.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Back
talking
then,
about,
there was
I'm
the
talking
era
about
of
when times
mystery.
were normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
When it was a normal thing.
back before you had a little.
Mini computer that solved the
Yeah.
mysteries of the universe. Look, so this was a Christmas. Now I'm going to give a couple of Santa Claus stories here. I'll start with one that's not so dark, but we'll get into a couple others. This kid, he's a grown man now, but when he was a child, he believed wholeheartedly in Santa Claus, and every year he would do the whole milk and cookie thing, And his older brother decided to, even though his brother was told repeatedly not to tell him that Santa Claus wasn't real, because a couple years before his brother had figured it out, because his brother was constantly telling him that Santa Claus wasn't real. But he really believed it, and the parents kept telling him, don't believe it. It's like this lie that they're committed to this lie, And so they're like, don't tell your brother that Santa Claus is not real. That's not polite. Let him be a fool for as long as he wants to. But his older brother was committed to ruining it for him. He says, if you go downstairs and you watch, okay, before mom and dad go to bed, Dad and Mom are going to go in there and they're going to eat the cookies. That's why they say never to come out of our rooms, because if you do, Santa Claus won't bring you gifts, whatever, because they eat the cookies. Get this. Okay. So this is a pretty cool story. I read this one. I thought, that's pretty cool. But he went downstairs because he decided to sneak and disobey his parents, and at the risk of not being allowed to have gifts, because his brother Dave was telling him, "Hey, this isn't real. You're just stupid." So he goes downstairs. Okay, and I believe this was in California too. Got a bunch of guys. It was Glendale, I believe. So he goes downstairs, and he's watching this. Milk and cookies, pretty closely, and he says he starts to get kind of sleepy, dude. And then he realizes, like, he looks up at the clock, and it's already like 12:01 at night, a minute past. It's already Christmas Day technically, and he's like, Santa Claus didn't come. His milk and cookies are still there. So he sneaks downstairs. He goes. He looks in his parents. His parents are asleep. They're exhausted. They had all kinds of stuff they had to do that day for Christmas Eve. They had been at another party, whatever. Because they had Christmas Eve at his, I think, grandmother's house or something. So he goes back upstairs, and just as he's going back upstairs, he hears what he thinks are a jingle. And he said, to this day, I know that it sounds crazy. He goes, but I heard what sounded like jingling bells. And he says, and I go downstairs, and I see this guy come out of from the back door. Now, before you start to say anything, just listen to what this guy told me. Okay, he comes to this guy comes to the back door. He's a heavy set guy, got a white beard, got the suit, everything. I mean, he got a bag. He sets the bag down. He goes over to the table, and he eats the cookies and he drinks the milk. And then he looks up at the kid and goes like that to him, and then walks out.
Gee.
So a homeless person broke into his house. And
No, that's what I thought. So I said, I'll call him Jay. I said, Jay, I said, because this guy doesn't want his, I could see why, because people think you're nuts. But Jay, trust me, he's like, I'm going to tell you stories. You're going to think I'm crazy. I was like, everybody that tells me a story, if I thought that, I think everybody's crazy. This is what I do. Okay. And so when he says, dude, when the Santa Claus person, I said, so my exact response to him was similar to yours. My exact response was, so some guy, some bum came through your back door, or Salvation Army Santa Claus, or some guy that works at the mall and was just going from house to house eating milk and cookies.
I mean, that'd be a smart racket for that if you were homeless and hungry.
And grab their presents and stuff.
And then the bag, he was probably going to steal a bunch of stuff, but the kid saw him.
Yeah.
So he decided to pretend, goes, ho, 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 and pretends like it. So he got kind of upset. He says he didn't go, ho, ho, ho. And he didn't.
Seemed jolly?
He didn't, he smiled and he just pointed at him and waved and he walked out and he left.
Yeah, he just ate up his food, of course.
So the next day, his parents get up and he watched them. He was on the stairs when he told his brother, come here. They go and they look. And they see the parents kind of arguing and with puzzled look, like, this is weird, this cookies or whatever, they're gone, whatever. So they open presents, and after they're done opening presents, he had asked for something very specific. And what he had asked for, and I know this is very, because I was a huge Transformers fan when I was a kid. He wanted this Optimus Prime that made noise and had this other feature or whatever. And so he didn't get it. So he goes, it's fine, it's whatever. And so his mom says, I know that you had wanted that toy, that particular toy. The mall didn't have it. The Toys R Us didn't have it back then. Toys R Us were still around. And he goes outside to the back on the patio, and there is a present wrapped. He says, I'll never forget. It was green and silver and white and red. Almost like candy cane, but with big, thick, and then little skinny stripes on it, with the big, huge bow. And he's like, and I opened it up. He goes, and somehow I just knew what it was. And there it was. And it was out there. And he comes inside and he tells his mom and dad, he goes, Santa Claus brought me this. He said his parents' faces were like, they were stunned. They were like, where did you get that? And he was like, it was outside. Santa Claus left it. I saw him eating cookies last night. What's really weird is his parents did this every year. They had this thing where they would go down and they would eat the cookies, and then he goes, okay. They sat him down, And they said, Jay, don't you understand that we're Santa Claus, you know, like, because his dad was like tired of it, you know. He's like, look, you know,
Yeah.
and his mom was like, don't say that. And he's like, yes, okay. He goes, so somebody came in our house last night, and his mother conceded that they had fallen into a deep sleep. Like about, 10:30, 11, they were getting ready to get up, and then next thing you know, they just laid there and went to sleep. And he said that he went outside at one point. His dad he would smoke cigarettes, and his dad said, I went outside. He goes, and I could have swore that I saw like a green comet go across the sky. And he goes, and right after that, I got really tired, so I went inside, and that's when we laid down. He goes, and you were already passed out, told his wife. And so they went to sleep. And then this individual comes in, eats the cookies, and then there's a gift left there for this child. But he says he has it to this day.
I mean, it's a pretty wild thing. I mean, I'd keep it. I'd keep it because it seems like that's a story. Because you literally have your parents who can tell you that they did not eat the cookies.
They didn't do it.
They could tell you that they definitely did not buy this gift.
So what I told him was, I said, is it possible that your parents
Had a friend?
lied to you, that hired a friend that looked like
Old Saint Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came in and said, ho, 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 and whatever, and brought, your gift and left it out there on the patio. And he said that, for years that went by, his parents were just puzzled by that. And he said it really disturbed his mother. He said, no, it disturbed his mother. Like, she was like, how, where did this come from? This toy,
Who ate the cookies? Who gave him the toy? I mean, it definitely bothered me, especially if it was like a tradition that you do it yourself, and the 1 year you didn't do it, all of a sudden, like, this exact gift that your son wants.
Somebody comes in and
Your son tells you that he saw someone walk in and enter the house and, eat the cookies, drink the milk. It'd be pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, to him, it's a pleasant memory.
Yeah.
He said that he saw kindness and a heartfelt sentiment in his eyes. And I was like, what do you mean a heartfelt sentiment? He goes, like, I felt like he knew I was there, and it was like, to me, it was proof that there is some sort of spirit. He thought it was like a spirit, like a I don't know, like Spirit of Christmas type thing. And I'd asked him, I said, have you seen Santa Claus since then? He says, no. And I said, not even like you weren't, not even if you were taking DMT or something like that. Like, he said, I've never done that, sir. And I was like, okay. Well, anyway, I did ask him though if he took any kind of hallucinogens as an adult that made him regress, and because actually you can actually go back and like find memories that have disappeared with certain types of. But he said,
it's definitely
no,
guided. I think there's like someone that they will guide you into trying to find regress memories.
I would steer clear of it though, because the elves might be some kind of weird looking elves that you.
Oh yeah, you might remember something you definitely don't want to.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend. What do you think, Alec? You think he should take something to see if he can regress and find? I'm joking. He shouldn't. Alec's going, well, let me go. Let me see what I've tried, and let's go.
I think he should just take his Optimus Prime and be happy.
And be happy with it. Yeah. So I'm kidding, folks. I don't want anybody doing any kind of dope to try to see Santa Claus. That's crazy. But here's another thing. Now here's one I got for Santa Claus that kind of made me, I don't know. This one was a little different. It wasn't as cute. This was Pensacola, Florida. And the heck was that?
Someone sighed?
What was that noise?
Sounded like someone sighed.
It did. That was really weird. What was that?
I don't know. It came from Alex, so I thought it was him.
The ceiling.
Oh, we got a homeless guy up there now? Is Santa sitting up there?
Oh, man. Excuse me, folks. Woo.
I was going to say, though, like, I never really believed in Santa Claus, but the Tooth Fairy I did, because my mom, because I try to stay up and do the same thing for the tooth fairy. I tried to stay up and see if I could catch her. But no matter how long I stayed up, my mom always stayed up just a little bit longer to make sure she could put the money under my pillow. So like the tooth fairy, she put in a lot of effort for her, but I think Santa was.
She probably just kept going in there checking on you.
Yeah, well, she would never even tell me to go to sleep. She would just kind of like leave the door open and just walk by every once in a while. And then I remember just like no matter how long I tried to stay up, she would always catch me at the very last minute as soon as I fell asleep.
I did a very similar thing when I was a kid. I had the tooth fairy thing going on, and I tried to stay awake and tried to, and my mom, I think it was, kept like coming in every now and then and checking to see if I was awake, you know. And I could never do it. I couldn't stay awake. I crashed. And I woke up and there was like
money always under the pillow. That's why I believe in the tooth
or
fairy.
whatever it was, you know. I think when I was real little, it wasn't but like 50 cents or something. But 50 cents back then was a little more than it's worth now.
Yeah.
You know.
And you buy a candy bar.
Yeah, you could buy different stuff, you know. Like $1 could get you a pack of baseball cards and a candy bar.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. If you look at these stories, like this one here, like I said, the Pensacola, Florida. Okay, this person saw Santa Claus, but it wasn't jolly and it wasn't fun and it was what is all that? Oh man. So they can't see the chat now.
Oh, he just switched it to a different one.
So anyway, folks, we're having some problems with the chat there. But anyway, this one happened in Pensacola, Florida. What happened was this guy, now this person has also had a Bigfoot encounter, but it didn't happen there. It happened in Georgia. Liberty, thank you for that donation. Edward Hernandez, thank you for that donation. John Smith, thank you for everybody that's donating and helping out with the show. It's greatly, greatly appreciated.
And Merry Christmas to
Merry
everybody.
Christmas to everybody, and thank you for being supportive of the show and all the work that we do here, because it is a lot of work to do this and my job and try to get my house in order and move and all the other stuff we got to do, and then all the stuff we got to do for Christmas. It's been, I don't know how I'm still standing, folks. And I went and worked out last night and did my legs, and there was no one in the gym. It was very lonely.
It was 19 degrees, pretty much.
It was 13 degrees.
Yeah, it got down. Yeah,
it was actually 12 degrees when I got out. It was 12 degrees. I took a photo of it. I put it on my Facebook. Nobody in the gym. It's very lonely, and they're doing squats when you're by yourself. But this person had what they believe was a not so nice encounter with a Santa Claus. I know this one was very supernatural. It had nothing to do with a homeless person. They actually were told at a very early age that there was not a Santa Claus, nor did they ever believe in a Santa Claus. They moved into a house. When they first moved into the house, they found a book on the ground. It wasn't a grimoire, it wasn't a Aleister Crowley book of spells, or wasn't the
anything of occultish or anything like that.
Wasn't anything like that. It wasn't H.P. Lovecraft. It was just a book about Christmas, and the back of it had like stickers and stuff. So he took it up to his room, and he looked at it, and he came from a household that was beyond secular. There was no religion. There was nothing. His dad was a scientist, and he believed in science. And Christmas was not celebrated, and so there was no such thing to him. And so what this person went through as a kid was basically they didn't celebrate Christmas, but he went to sleep at Christmas time every year longing that his parents would allow him to have Christmas. And so he thought about belief and some other things, and he had watched some show that said, if you believe in Santa Claus, it's real. When we were kids, we had all these shows where they were like, you'll believe in the magic of Christmas and ho ho ho, and there's all these, and then there's these like Sprite commercials or whatever, or Pepsi, I don't know, Coke or something. And they were like, oh, Santa Claus is real, and he's like in your house dropping off gifts or something. I don't know, or maybe he was stealing them. I don't know. But anyway, this kid, he went to sleep like, thumbing through that book, and he kept it. He had like 3 years he was in that house, and he said that it was weird. At one point, he found like a stocking So the people that had the house before had obviously abandoned it around Christmas time. There was like a part of a Christmas tree, like a stand or something, you know. So he had
Remnants
these
of
different
Christmas
items.
past.
He had like a Christmas ball and stuff, and he kept them. And he put them in a drawer, and he called it his Christmas drawer. And he would kind of live vicariously Christmas through his cousins. When they would have dinner, they would get invited. And of course, he said that his dad always managed to ruin it because he would have an argument with his siblings, and they'd be like, "Why don't you let the kids have Christmas?" and blah, blah, blah. Christmas is foolish. I don't believe in it, and blah, blah, blah. And so his dad pretty much, that's how he grew up. You're a real butthole, by the way, guy. You're just for doing that to your kid. But anyway, this guy always managed to ruin it, you know. So when he goes into his room, his dad had told him, because every year Christmas Eve he would stay up and looking out the window and trying to see Santa Claus. And so his dad comes into his room, and he said that his dad would not drink the entire year. But then they would go to a Christmas dinner, and Christmas or Eve, I guess they'd have a Christmas Eve dinner at the family's or whatever, and he would get drunk that one night. Like that. That's like the one night he decides to drink and act the fool. So he gets drunk, and he comes into his room, and he tells him, "What are you doing?" He says, I'm looking out the window." He goes, "Yeah, I know what you're doing. You're looking for Santa Claus." Well, while his dad is standing there at the foot of his bed, he said this weird looking thing, it was just a weird story. He said this like weird looking green mist kind of formed in the corner of the room. And what looked like a greenish, misty, wispy person in the shape of what would be Santa Claus, with red glowing eyes, appeared before him and his dad. His dad turned around, and his dad like fell backwards on the bed and began to scream and freak out, and he banged into the glass of his window and cut himself. And so he thought, man, this is, you know, this, and then it was gone, you know. And he thought this was something that maybe he caused. He felt like this guilt because his dad had to go to the hospital and get like 18 stitches. And so his dad, when he asked his dad about it the next day, his dad played it off like it didn't happen. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He was in such denial about it. Well, a couple days after that, he had one gift that he got every year, which was from his aunt and uncle, whatever, at the Christmas party. And a lot of times his dad would take the gift from him and wouldn't let him have it. And so he would go stuff it into a closet. And when he got older and they moved out of that house, he had like 8 different like gifts in there that he had never gotten to use. Yeah. And of course, his dad eventually died. His dad died very weird. He had a weird accident, and he died. Oddly enough, his dad fell off a ladder, which is not putting up Christmas lights. But anyway, so he said a couple days after the incident where his dad got freaked out and fell backwards and then pretended like he says pretended. I don't know if he was just drunk or maybe pretended. His dad said it never happened. Didn't know what happened. He said he just lost his footing. He said that's why you don't drink and you shouldn't drink because of that, you know. But he said a couple days later, he wakes up and there is the image of what looks like a Santa Claus, like at the foot of his bed. And he said that it looked like he was eating a turkey leg. Like he was chewing on it, you know, and he said he was eating it like
Corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob. He was just like devouring this what looked like it looked like to him a turkey leg. And he said that as he was tearing it, blood was starting to come out of its mouth. Ugh. And then he said that when he stared at it, he looked and the eyes went from being red and they started to kind of go in toward its head, the thing's skull, and they became black holes. And then he began to fall kind of into a light sleep, and it was like he was going through a dark tunnel going into one of his eyes. And then he woke up. And then he said, man, I must have been dreaming that. He said then he looks down when he gets out of bed and he wakes up the next day. It was 2 days after Christmas. He walks out, going out of his room, and he looks down on the ground and he sees a bone about this big. You know, he was telling me about it. You know, it was about, you know,
Size of a turkey.
you know, foot long, whatever.
Yeah.
And he said, dude, it looked like it was a turkey bone, turkey leg. And you could see it, like, you know, the tendon and everything on the end of it. And he's like, what was that? I said, I have no idea what that was. I don't think it was just an overactive imagination. I think that this kid had, this man, when he was a kid, had an encounter with something. Now, here's one that's very similar to that. Okay, it's along those same lines, and you can tell me about this one. Happened in Denver, Colorado. That's where you're from, Tony.
Where I'm born, yeah.
Yeah, where you were born. It happened in Denver. And this one was, it was this guy when he was a kid, same thing. Him and his little sister, they saw what they thought was Santa Claus going up the stairs on Christmas Eve. And when they looked up. This isn't a real long one, but it is weird. And they said that his lower body began to disintegrate. And so I asked him, I said, what do you mean it disintegrated? He said, like, when he was, this man came around the corner and began to walk up the stairs at their aunt and uncle's house at a Christmas party. All the kids were opening their presents and having fun. And he said that me and my little sister saw it and our two cousins. And he said, but me and my little sister were staring at it. And this guy just began to walk up the stairs. He was dressed like Santa Claus, and they thought maybe somebody. They were smart enough, cognizant enough to know that that's not really Santa Claus. That maybe somebody was paid to be an impersonator, right? Because he was already like 9 years old. He knew Santa Claus didn't exist. Going up the stairs, and then his bottom part of his body began to disintegrate, and then they just see that by the time it got to the top of the stairs, it was just a head, and then it was gone.
Like infinity.
I that's all they told me. I don't know. I can't tell you any more than that. That's all he could say was like it just disintegrated. Not like, what do you mean infinity? You talking about Thanos or something?
Yeah, like you mean like that, where they just started slowly.
No, I don't know. Maybe, but from that's not what he told me. What he told me was like it disappeared going up the stairs. Here's the weird thing. Well, like that's not weird enough. They're sitting at Christmas dinner, and his little cousin. She pops up and she said, she called her grandfather Poppy, whatever. He says, Poppy, we saw Santa Claus. And she's like, you know, moving back and forth, you know, as kids do, you know, and they told her be still because she's always moving around. And then she said it again. And they said, look, you need to be still. The mother stopped her. So you need to be still and you need to stop lying. And then they grabbed her by the arm, you know, because he said his aunt was that was her stepmother and was kind of mean to her. And she said, no, she's being honest. We saw Santa Claus, and he walked up the stairs and he disappeared. And he goes, you told me Santa Claus wasn't real. And his dad was like, well, he's not. And he says, well, what did we see? And he said that right then his aunt was helping she had like a gravy bowl in her hand, and they were bringing out the turkey and all that. And she said, what did you say? And he said, we saw Santa Claus walking up the stairs, and she got so freaked out that when she sat the bowl down, it tumped over and spilled everywhere. It was like giblet gravy, whatever. And he said, dude, she was freaked out, dude, and she went back into the kitchen. It was one of those kitchens where they had the swinging doors, you know. And it was just like a moment where she freaked out because she felt like, you know, she had heard something, you know. So later on, he approached his dad, and his dad told him, he said, you know what, I'll talk to your aunt, you know, and I believe her aunt was named Sarah or Susan or something like that. So they talked to Aunt Sarah, and the aunt told a weird story, but she didn't want to say it in front of the boy. She said, well, we'll talk outside. So when they went outside, they began to talk. He says, dude, of course, I was a precocious child. I was a little smart turd, you know. He goes, I was listening by the window. I was ducked down, you know. He said, they were looking back, you know, and they didn't see me. And I was ducked down. I thought I was really clever. And he said he was listening. And he said that she's like, I've seen this entity. She called it an entity.
Oh,
he said
wow.
the first time in his life he'd ever heard of anything like called an entity. Now, subsequently, he went and he watched a show called The Entity.
Oh, what
no.
a horrible thing to
With
watch.
the kid. Yeah, this is a kid. Okay.
Oh, man.
But he said it was like about a week later, he was at his friend's house and they were playing, they had a ping pong table in the garage and he was telling them all about seeing Santa Claus. And he said, oddly enough, there were 3 or 4 other kids that were there, neighborhood kids. And one of the kids said, I've seen Santa Claus. He's like literally, he was in my closet. He crawled into my closet and disappeared to some stuffed animals. So he said that was a weird story. And the kid always stood by that story with his friend. And when they got older, even when they were in like high school, they would be like, hey, man, tell the story. And his friend, you know, Steven or whatever, was like, nah, man, he's going to make fun of me. But he really stood by that. He saw that. I'm thinking like a tulpa.
Yeah.
You know, maybe belief has created some sort of entity. Well, the story that his aunt told was she was walking out to the garage one day and she saw what looked like a guy, which she thinks was a ghost of a previous owner of the house who would dress up because supposedly they threw big Christmas parties there at that house. It was like a big Victorian style house, whatever. And she said that they threw Christmas parties every year. And that this guy was known for dressing up as, they had a guy that lived there dressed up as Santa Claus. But it was the brother of the guy that owned the house, and the brother was known for being a little kooky, and ultimately he ended up going into a sanitarium and he died. And it's crazy. So she said he was in the rocking chair and was rocking back and forth and was kind of just going with his eyes closed. And when she walked out to the garage, she's like, whoa. And she saw that, and he turned and he looked at her, and he stood up. And she said he was a big guy. And then he just vanished. She closed her eyes. She was like, oh, my gosh. And she, like, grabbed herself, and he was gone. But that wasn't the only time she'd seen him. Apparently, this guy liked to go around dressed up as Santa Claus when it wasn't Christmas, and that he would sometimes sleep out in the yard in the doghouse. So that's probably why he ended up in the sanitarium. Because back then, this was old times, you know, like in the 20s, whatever. You got put in sanitariums when you acted like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so what ultimately happened was he was in the backyard dressed as Santa Claus and barking like a dog, and the neighbors are like, "Hey, call the straitjacket people," and they did. And he was deemed to be insane. And he had broken into one of the neighbors' house, which didn't help. And they said he was, you know, somebody broke in the house. So I'm thinking what he saw was the ghost of Christmas past.
I was gonna say
Not literally, but I mean like it had him like a ghost, right?
that's funny because I was
in a
thinking
sense.
it might be the same with the other story too, where it, like that creature that they might have saw, that kid saw, might have been like the old owner who really just enjoyed Christmas a lot, and they
Decided to
unfortunately
beat up his dad, or scare his dad.
Well, yeah, especially if you're gonna crap on Christmas and that's like
Yeah, but why did it scare the crap out of the kid eating the turkey leg?
it might not have scared him. It might
Kind
have
of a
just
dick move, you ask me.
trying to do normal
Hey
Christmas.
kid, you like Thanksgiving too? Here, it's ruined now.
Maybe he was just trying to eat in peace, and the kid won't leave him
Why at the
alone.
foot of his bed? There's a whole house he could go eat a turkey leg
You
at.
don't know what that room was beforehand. It could have been anything. It could have been the
turkey leg,
Christmas room.
bloody turkey
Bottom
leg
line
eating room.
is he was there first, okay, and he called that
How do you know
room.
he wasn't there first? How do you know it wasn't a Ouija board that conjured him up? His parents are downstairs.
I just think it's very rude of that kid to wake up.
Okay. That kid, okay.
poor-
The witness got what he-
In
Paul, I'm sorry, but
spirit-
you got what you deserved, all right? You had it coming.
Poor spirit can't rest in peace because his kid just wants to exist where he exists at the same time.
Well, you have to understand, he did grab all that Christmas stuff and put it in that drawer.
Sympathy for Christmas kids, man. That's
Well, I'm
fair.
saying he grabbed all that Christmas stuff and put it in that drawer. So he might have grabbed something that drew that thing, and that's why all the activity happened in his room.
Yeah, he went and he took the Christmas ball. I said, "What color was it?" He said it was green. I said, "Oh, did you destroy it?" And he said, "No." I said, "Go do it right now. I'll wait." He went upstairs and he smashed it, and a Pokemon popped out.
Oh, there you go. Magic happens.
It was Roostor. He came out, Roostor! Diamond skill level 7, and burned his house down. Look, now, folks, I made that last part up. I did tell him to go and smash it, and he said he didn't have it anymore because I, being a critical thinker and a fact checker, knew that he was lying and that I knew that there was Pokemon inside of his Christmas ball. Yeah.
I know you got Pokemans in there.
Okay.
I don't believe in
Yeah,
you.
get up
Don't give up
early
on
in the
yourself.
afternoons. Get up on me, folks.
Santa Claus isn't real, but I know Pokemans are real. Pokemon cads.
Pokemon cats. Yeah. So if you stop and you think about it, okay, the one story sounds just like a ghost. The other story, I don't know what that is. And then when you look at the other story, I mean, what do you think? It was a bum that came into the house and left him a Christmas toy?
That one's weird to me because it might.
Oh, that one's weird. None of them. The other ones aren't weird.
The other ones might be ghosts. That's the thing. But that one, like this, I don't know. You can't explain that as a ghost story. What kind of ghost gives you an Optimus Prime? I wish more ghosts would do that kind of stuff. That'd be kind of cool. But I mean, it's just that one's the only one where it's like I can't really say it's a ghost, or I can't really say what kind of entity it is because it's just like there's physical evidence that it left behind. It ate the cookies, it drank the milk, and it left an Optimus Prime.
Well, okay, so look at this. Elastic Machinery says, dude was just lonely, no big deal. And then Charizard, Shanna let us know who it was. Sailor Nemesis says, it wasn't turkey, it was emu. Get it right. It was a big old ostrich leg, right?
Exactly, Sailor. I mean, Cooper. Being Santa is very
It's very stressful. Sometimes you have
just-
your moments. yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I mean, if you think about it, if you go in that house and there's no turkey, or there's no cookies, and there's no milk, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I'll just eat this turkey leg. And then the kid wakes up in the middle of it.
Yeah,
why would there be
hang
blood
on.
coming out of his mouth, though, dude? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how are you okay with that?
They didn't cook it
Oh,
right.
Not leaving milk and cookies. You don't leave milk and cookies. He eats a bloody emu leg at the foot of your bed.
Dude, his dad was a
is
jerk,
very
man. His
simple.
dad was a whatever
Christmas
molecular
hater,
biologist who
obviously.
hated Christmas and hated anything that he couldn't physically believe in or whatever. Who's now? I mean, he's dead now, so I mean, he's in hell, obviously. You know, he's burning and being tormented for all eternity. I bet he believes now. I bet you believe now, don't you, jerk? You know, they're like, I wish I would have. Yeah, exactly, punk. I can tell you this, okay? I never saw Santa Claus, nor have I ever heard Santa Claus, but I had friends who claimed to have heard and seen Santa Claus. And I had one who, I don't want to tell the story because I want to wait until maybe next year. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of this guy, because one of my buddies that actually watches the show says, you remember when we were kids? And he said that, you know, our friend Tommy had seen Santa Claus when he was a kid. And I don't know and I want to get him either on the show, he can tell the story. Him and his brother and his sister all claim to have seen a Santa Claus. It does happen. I mean, I'm telling you, look in the groups, man. There were a few other stories in there that were in the groups. That's how I got one of these. I just pestered the person. I said, look, man, I have a show. And they're like, I don't know if I believe you. And I was like, well, go watch my show. And so they went in and what's going on? You okay?
No, it's just some things
Oh.
flying around.
Something Wong. So he said, so after about a week of him watching my show, he messaged me back. This is actually pretty cool. He says, I've been binging your show. I love the live streams. I like the regular episodes, blah, 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 blah. And he says, yeah, I'll give you the story. And I'm all like, at that point, I was like, I don't know if I want your story. It took
You gotta sell it to me now.
took you a whole week of watching my show and enjoying it. You know? No, but I took a story. But here's the last one that I'm going to call, Jared. This is one I'm going to tell you about Krampus, and I think this one is a supernatural being, Krampus, whatever. And this would happen on Christmas Day, which is another weird thing, and it could be a coincidence, or Krampus could be there's a lot of getting up and down, man. It's really throwing me out of my rhythm here. So it could be, like we said, a tulpa, like we said about Santa Claus. Krampus could be one too. And I'll say it because of this. There was this kid found in his garage a box of old baseball cards from the 70s, and his dad was a big Reds fan. They were from Cincinnati area, let's put it that way. And he said his dad had, back in the 70s when Joe Morgan and Pete Rose were playing together, they had this team, they called them the Big Red Machine. The Reds won a bunch of World Series. They're really good. And I believe they played like the Orioles a few times, whatever. They were both good at the same time. I think that's, if I'm correct on my history in baseball, but he said that he remembers going to the World Series when watching them. I believe he said they were playing Baltimore. But anyway, he was, found a box of baseball cards and he took them to his dad. His dad says, "Oh, these are my cards when I was a kid." And then he gave them to him and he started collecting and that's how actually I met this guy. And for years, I didn't know anything about him having a weird experience with something that may or may not have been Krampus. But he actually he messaged me because, like him and me have been friends from card collecting. Aaron Shaw, thank you for that donation. He says, Merry Christmas, friends. Merry Christmas to you too. And so he said that there was a box at the bottom of the box. There was a little stack of what looked like greeting cards, and they were wrapped with a red ribbon around them. And he took them out. And he says, "Oh, that's my grandmother's. That would be your great grandmother." And he was like, "Your grandmother had this watch the whole time, and she put it up." And I'm just joking. I'm just Christopher Walken. No, and so. He said, "Those are your grandmother's." And so when they looking through them, and they were old Christmas cards and greeting cards of different kinds or whatever. And I guess she had saved them all. And so whenever he was going through them, he saw one and he said, "This is really cool." And he said he thought it was like Bigfoot. So he goes to his dad and he says, "What is this one, Dad?" And he looks at it and his dad looks at it and it says Krampus on there. And he says, "I don't know what that is." So he said, "Here you go, son." He gave it back to him. Well, that night he went to sleep, and that was Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve, and they were going through the old what do we call them, decorations or whatever, and they were looking for something because the next day they had the family coming over. So it was Dad, procrastinator deluxe, waited till the last minute, and they were looking for whatever it was through the Christmas stuff, and they found that. He found that. And he said that those are old Christmas cards, whatever. So it was Christmas Eve. And so that morning of Christmas Eve, he wakes up and he hears, and he's standing there, he's laying there in bed. He sits up, bolt upright in his bed. And he hears what sounds like the stomping of hooves. And he looks at the foot of his bed, and there, right at the foot of his bed, was what looked like the creature from the greeting card. He said he was in that in-between state of like, I'm half asleep, half awake. And I wake up, he goes, and I see this entity, creature at the foot of my bed that looks like Krampus. And he said that he looked like it was smoke coming off of it in different directions, and it just kind of like faded away and it was gone. And he said that it left a burning sulfur type smell. And he said, "Dude, I'll never forget as long as I live, dude." He goes, and I jumped up and I ran out of the room. And I asked him, I said, did it go on? Were there different things that happened? Did you have any more incidents, episodes? He said, "No, nothing. There was nothing else that ever happened. It was just that." Now, was him going to sleep an hour or two after he saw that Christmas card and had it in his mind? Did it manifest that? Was it Krampus, or was it just a figment of his imagination?
How old was he?
I think he was 11 or 12. I think he said 11 or 12.
Did the card scare him, or was it just kind of like a neat?
I don't think so. I mean, no, I don't think so, because I asked him. I was like, he was terrified of what he saw.
Yeah, obviously, but I mean,
I said, was the card scary? And he said, no, it was just kind of goofy looking. He goes, but yeah, it could be. It was kind of creepy, but he goes, I didn't, go to bed in terror.
Yeah, I was gonna say though,
unless he's lying, he did go to bed in terror.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, if he did see it, the card, and was like, "Ooh, that's kind of weird. That's creepy looking," and it was on his mind, then I would be more akin to think that maybe it was a figment, that maybe he just manifested at the time. But if it was just like a goofy little card and like it wasn't that big of a deal, and he kind of just went to bed, other than that happened, and especially the sulfur thing makes me think that it might be something supernatural.
Yeah,
but
'cause you don't have smells in dreams.
Well,
I don't.
Well,
I mean,
the guy that I was listening to when I fell asleep this morning, telling me about a near-death experience, and he, in his death dream, when he came out of his body, he smelled hell, and I fall asleep listening to a person talk about going to hell. So think about the dreams I had this morning, folks. I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding. I'm in my pen.
Oh.
Aaron Shaw says, "Did you get your hoodie yet?" Who are you talking to, Aaron?
Actually, on that note, I wanted to interject because I think he said he has to work tomorrow, which means he'll probably be gone by the time we announce it. But he was one of the people that I wanted to pick for
Aaron?
a giveaway. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that way he
I
can
was
hear
just
it
about to
before
do it.
he bails.
Yeah,
Speaking of
Aaron
giveaways,
I was just about to say that.
we want to show the new merch. I mean, they kind of already seen it, but they've already
Yeah.
talked about some people talking about it.
Yeah, folks, we're gonna do a giveaway. Fat Squatch, you're winning a hoodie. Okay.
New hats
And
stuff.
David Buckholz, you're gonna get a hoodie. And Aaron, we're gonna give you the option. You want a beanie or a hoodie? Show them the beanie.
Here,
Beanies are really cool.
get up to the camera. These are the new beanies. Oh. These are the new beanies with the black and silver logo on them.
So you got your choice. And of course, you will get a book from one of my many author friends. So Aaron,
Okay, Aaron wants a hoodie.
you want a hoodie. Now the next three are going to be for a beanie or a hat. You can choose your choice. Sailor Nemesis seems to be commenting quite a bit.
I have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more people that I had written down to win something.
You want to pick somebody, Tony, since Anthony's being greedy?
I was looking for him. I saw
Oh,
his
just paying
comment
attention.
earlier, and I just can't find him now.
And then we got to get on here and call our guest. Clever Conquistador, you've been around for a long time. Have you ever won? And it says, how do you enter? We just pick you at random, and then you give your information. Send it to Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. I'm going to try and do the mail-offs this coming week. And then, or you could send it to me on Messenger.
I'll choose Esteban Hernandez.
Sailor Nemesis says, "Yay! I've been waiting and hoping." Okay, Sailor, give us your information. Don't put it on here, but send it to me through my messenger if you have me on Facebook, which is easier. Or you can send it to me through email. There's still a lot of people that don't know that we're doing this on Fridays now. They're just like, "Why did you stop doing shows?" I'm like, "Geez, really?"
Random YouTube viewer. It's because it's not worth it anymore to do it on those platforms.
Yeah, they weren't taking care of us.
Yeah, we're just sticking to YouTube now, so stick around here. You won't find us on Spotify, but you can find us here. It's the same thing. It's not
We're
the
going to
end of
do
the
one
world.
more on Spotify just to tell everybody, hey, we're not on Spotify anymore.
Hey Wolf, did you hear my pick?
Who was your pick?
Esteban Hernandez.
Yeah, everyone that was picked, make sure you do your due diligence, and either send Wolf either a message on Facebook Messenger or send him an email telling him your name, tell him that you won, tell him what you won, and give him an address to send it to. Otherwise, you won't be getting anything in the mail.
Hello?
I'll turn that up a bit.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing them. See if you can you guys at home hear? I can't see. Hold on one second there, Jared.
All right, man. Hang on.
Trying to get this going here.
How's he sounding to you guys?
Can anybody hear me now?
I can hear you in my headphones. That they're saying I can't hear them now. They're saying yes.
Oh, okay.
People are saying yes. Yep. Congratulations. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
What is this? What am I kicking down here?
His audio's coming through well on
Some sort of cube. Why is there a white cube at my feet here?
You open the box.
It's weird. So Jared, bless you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jared.
Well, first of all, man, I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me up, and thank you for everything you guys do for the community, man. I'm Jared King TV, and I do a lot of Appalachian stories. I love comedy. I love to make people laugh, and I love to support others. I share out as many people as I can. Just ordinary, just average schmo.
Yeah. And so you have had an encounter of your own, but you do a show?
Yeah, actually, I do some live streams where I go on and I just tell some old stories, paranormal, cryptid, just all kind of stuff and things like that. But it's not only just my experiences; it's some that other folks have shared as well.
Mm-hmm. How long you been doing that?
That I've been doing it for close to a year.
Oh. Okay. Because I'm going to need you to stop doing that because I need to be the only person doing it. So I went ahead and sent a letter out to every other podcaster on earth to cease and desist.
Yeah, if you could just
I'm
do
gonna put you down on that
solid-
neighbor. On the
We appreciate it, but can you just stop?
you need to
just you were good, kid, real good.
I'm like an
As long as
HOA
I'm around,
neighbor.
you'll
I'm
always
going to
be
need you
second
to not
best,
live
see?
here. So,
Just don't, okay? Just don't.
so Jared, tell us, you've gotten some crazy stories out of the Appalachians, and where about do you live? What part of the country? Like what part of the Appalachians?
Well, I'm actually in Middle Tennessee. I grew up in the back country of it, a little small town in Van Buren County, Tennessee. And man, like you said, there's just some wild things that's happened around there, man, that there's no way I can explain.
Yeah, and so you've gone around and collected stories from people who live in that area, and
Not just all over the Appalachians, man.
yeah, like what about any granny witch stories?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. There's a lot of those. I actually have a couple of videos on there. Yeah, there's tons of those, man, of granny witches, healers, just folk magic and just regular, just a witch,
Yeah. So Jared, you said you had a wild Bigfoot story. You want to get into that? You want to tell us?
Oh yes, man. Oh my goodness. This is actually the first time I've actually ever shared this. Is one reason why I was so excited about it. Where we used to live, it was in like a little holler, and mountains on each side, beautiful area. And my wife and I always loved to just get out and walk. We love nature. And, when we started having kids and things, naturally they loved it too and everything. Well, oftentimes, we would like to get off to ourselves and things and go for hikes and things like that. And one day we a couple of times on one certain trail, we noticed that you would just get some uneasy feelings and just like you were being watched, or followed or something. We couldn't really explain it. Well, one afternoon, we go walking up this trail and went back to like an old sawmill set and everything. Really amazing. Well, we're coming back and that feeling is getting like super heavy. I mean, it's unreal. Well, all of a sudden, we go around like a little curve and there's a little stick that's leaned over the trail with a little tiny, like acorn trinket made of like really old pewter. And I don't know, man. I cannot explain it for the life of me. And just overwhelming feeling that I got that it was not even meant for me. It was meant for my wife. And it was just so strange. Now, what really gets me to think this is like a Bigfoot cryptid kind of thing is that not only did we see that, she got it. It was, really strange. We kind of look around, it was real freaky. But I told her, I said, that's a gift for you. I don't know how I know that, but it's just a gift for you. Well, she gets it when we take off, and not far up the path, we see a footprint, man. And oh my God, this thing was like, I'd say like a size 14, 15, you know, and we just stop in amazement, you know. And back then, you know, we wasn't, you know, on YouTube or anything like that. So I wasn't really familiar with a lot of habits or traits of, you know, any type of like Bigfoot or cryptid or anything like that. And well, after that, we get home. And every night we would get the sensation, you know, that feeling of being watched. And one day my wife takes that little necklace charm and takes it back up the trail and puts it back. And then it stopped. But after that, ever since, whenever we would go on our hikes and things, we would hear like a twig snapping and things in the distance. And you would get this smell that, I mean, I cannot explain it, man. It was just like a putrid kind of like a wet dog kind of smell. And it was just so freaky. And that went on for a good month or two. And I mean, the dogs outside would cower. And I mean, you know, we had some pretty big dogs, and they would just absolutely cower.
And so, what part of Tennessee was this?
Now this is actually, it was considered Middle Tennessee.
Hmm. And it was up in the mountains, up in the hills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was way back in the woods, you know. And after we got on YouTube and things, you know, I you know, started hearing other people's experiences and things like that. And then I got introduced to Tex. And, you know, I was sharing that information with him. And he said, man, he said, that definitely sounds like you had a Bigfoot encounter. He said, but what he believed is it may have been a younger one.
Hmm. And you're talking about Tex from Tex Front Porch?
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Jason.
Yeah, man. Amazing group of guys right there.
Yeah, they're good guys. And so is Rob. Yeah, they're all good people. I like them a lot. I was at the conference with them in Jefferson at the Texas Bigfoot Conference.
Right on. Right on.
I'll
man.
never go back to Texas. not a fan. Yeah, I'm good. All the people that were there speaking, everybody was great. I just didn't enjoy myself. But yeah, that is you. Is that the only time you had an encounter with what people call Sasquatch?
Well, basically, yeah. Now there was one incident where, all right, now we're not far where we lived. If you're going down the road, there was like off to the right, there was like a massive field. And one afternoon, my dad and I was coming back from my grandma's, and we see this thing walking down the edge of the wood line, and its strides was, oh my God, man. I mean, it looked huge from the road, and I'm talking, oh man, a good quarter mile. And I mean, it looked huge that far away. And like I said, and it turned with like 3 steps, it turned and was out of sight through the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody was talking about the smell. You know, you said so. The smell, did it have like an overpowering smell?
Yeah. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, man. Yeah. It was like just, I don't know. It was so weird, you know, because I'd never experienced anything like that before. It was like, the only way I know to describe it is like, like kind of like a wet dog in a really, really hot summer day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, and kind of musty.
Yeah, I get witnesses. I had one out of Arkansas not too long ago who told me that they smelled a wet dog mixed with blood and urine smell.
Oh wow!
Like that was what they described it as, and I don't know to this day. I don't know what that was. If the way that, or they to this day they don't know what that was, whether it was a dog man or a Bigfoot. They couldn't say because it had a small muzzle on it, but it looked squatch like, you know. And of course we can't always tell what it is, and they saw it from the side and the back. And they said the smell was just overpowering. I've also had people say that they when they encounter like cryptids / inhumanoids, that they sometimes smell like wet dog mixed with garbage.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
I have a question about going back to your first encounter that you mentioned. You said that it was probably a juvenile Bigfoot.
Why? What exactly would make it a juvenile?
Well, the reason, like I said, that's kind of what I asked Tex, and he said that one reason why he believed it may have been a juvenile is because of the fact that he said if an adult, you know, Sasquatch or anything like that, he said normally, he said you would not get in seeing distance of them normally. But he said it's something young like that. He said when they're real young, he said they're like a kid. They're young and they're clumsy and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, you said he left a gift for your wife with a trinket. You said like what exactly did it look like? Can you explain that a little more?
Oh yeah, it was kind of strange. It was like a little acorn like, and it looked like it was made out of like a old pewter or silverish kind of. And it looked really, really old. We showed it to a lot of people. And it said that it definitely had some age to it, and it looked like it hadn't been well maintained or taken care of or anything like that. It had some just tarnish on it and stuff like that.
Hmm. That's
It was
really,
definitely strange.
yeah.
It
And
was
it's
really
obviously
strange.
very trying to get y'all's attention by having that, leaving it in very obviously where he knew you would walk.
Right.
Oh.
And I really don't know. Like I said, I could not explain the fact how I knew it was for my wife. Because I found it interesting because I love any kind of antiques or just old things like that. But like I said, I don't know. I just got the feeling. It's like I knew something was telling me it was for her.
Yeah.
Do you think it was like in the background staring daggers at you, like, "Hey, don't take this. This is not for you."
Very possible, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
You just take it and throw it.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Don't hit on my wife.
It just comes out of the woods
Trying
like
to steal my woman.
No, hey man, sorry. You look kind of ugly, so I thought you could do better.
So tell us like about some of the stories that you get out of that Appalachian area, because I've gotten a lot of weird ones out of that area too. What do you have? You got a story you can tell us?
Oh man, yeah. Like I said, I've got a bunch, man. Like there was this one guy. He told me said that he was at home one day and said he was going up to check his mail, and said that when he went up there, it was normal day and everything, and said when he opened his mailbox, he heard something pull up behind him. He said it was like like a car. He said that he actually jumped because it sounded so close to him. And he said, and he turned around and he said, there's nothing there. Well, he said he just kind of blowed his mind, but he didn't really know how to react, really. Well, he said he just kind of hurried back to the house, and he said that he would hear and he said what was really strange about it is he said it sounded like a really old model vehicle. How the like the old Model Ts and stuff would kind of sputter and stuff, and he said that's what it sounded like. And he said it was so strange. Well, he said nothing happened after that for a couple of months. Well, after that, he said one afternoon he was going to go hunting. And he said, and he walked out the door and said, as soon as he did, he said he saw a half of a vehicle going down the road. And he said it was so strange. And he said you could see like the outline of a driver, but nothing. He couldn't really see details. And he said it was just gone as fast as as he saw it. And he said, no, he said again, scared him half to death. And again, nothing for a while after that. And then later on, he said it pulled into the driveway and just stopped. And he peeped out the window. And when he did, said there was an older like gentleman sitting in it, and said his face was all sunken in and everything. And his bottom teeth was like protruding. I mean, like massively. And said, and it just shook its head back and forth really fast and disappeared.
Yeah. That's weird. Yeah. And where did that happen at?
Now, that happened somewhere. I think it was in Pennsylvania.
That's crazy. So what do you usually get in that area? Like as far as ghosts, cryptids, what do you usually get? Do you get any alien abduction or what? I mean, what's going on out there?
Well, I'm telling you, man, like I said, now I haven't gotten any alien stories yet, but I'm waiting on some. I'm definitely trying to get some of those because I have definitely myself seen some strange things in the sky, man, that I cannot explain. One night, my wife and I was sitting out and we had a big, a big bonfire out in the backyard, And we're just sitting there kicked back, it's spring, I mean, it's just wonderful day. We're kicked back and we're sitting there talking, and this football shaped like thing comes over the top of the mountains, and it's got different lights that goes all the way around it. And it was like going in a circle around in a pattern, you know. And then it just disappeared and then reappeared halfway across the sky and then just vanished.
What did it glow? What color was it?
It was different. It was all different colors. I mean, really, all we could really tell was the lights and almost like a dark shape behind the lights. But it was almost like a football shape.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people has encountered like a I don't know, like just a straight sphere or something like that. Different kinds of things. But this was kind of like football shaped.
Yeah. That's weird. And do you think it was it like an orb, or do you think it was like a spacecraft, or what do you think it was?
I don't know, man. I mean, honestly, I think it was definitely some type of craft, because what was really strange about it is, anybody that, is familiar with the outdoors and things like that, they know, you're familiar with, all the sounds and the critters and stuff that comes along with it. Well, when that showed up, there was no sound whatsoever. There was no crickets, nothing. I mean, it was like eerie silence, and it, like I said, when it came into view, like I said, the lights was rotating around it, all different kind of colors. And like I said, then it just disappeared. And then, like I said, almost instantly reappeared halfway across the sky and then just shot out of sight.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, as far as you yourself go, what is the strangest story that encounter or anything that's ever happened to you, Jared?
Oh man. Probably the strangest encounter with me, that would probably be a ghost story, man, is when I was younger growing up. I actually grew up, and I know it's cliche but for Appalachia, but I grew up in a log cabin, and had a couple of rooms, built onto it and stuff. Well, one of the built on rooms was one of my bedrooms. And I was in there asleep one night. I'm guessing I'm maybe 14, roughly. And I'm laying there, I'm asleep, and it's wintertime, it's real cold, and I'm laying facing the wall. And I kind of rouse up a little bit and I roll over. And when I do, I feel something on my nose. And I jerk my head back and open my eyes. And there's this really old man, like leaned over, and he's staring at me and with just like a confused look on his face. And it was only like there was like bits and pieces of him that was transparent. You could see plumb through in spots, And man, I was so scared, man. My blood literally turned to ice right there, and my heart fluttered. I couldn't breathe, and just as I mean, and it just disappeared right there.
Wow,
that's the scariest I've ever been in my life.
that's crazy. And what do you think it was?
I really don't know. I've often thought if it was maybe someone that had lived there at one point, or now I have heard a lot of folks, the older folks say that there was a lot of parties that went on back there, back in the old days, so maybe somebody got injured or possibly worse there, somebody may have lost their life there, and if it was maybe like some type of haunting, because I lived there for like 20 something years, man, and that's literally the only time I ever saw that. And like I said, I don't know, maybe it was just could have been like a time slip, maybe, if not a ghost, it's very possible. Because one thing I have learned is to keep an open mind about certain, a lot of things. But I really can't say 100% for sure. I mean, I classify it as a ghost, but honestly, I really don't know. But that's definitely the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
So, so that's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you. What's one of the best stories you've been told?
Oh man, there's a lot of good ones. Probably the best one I've ever been told came from my grandfather. Said that back when he was like a younger guy, him and a bunch of his buddies went back to this old place, and it used to be like an old mansion and stuff and everything. It was tore down, things like that. And they got back there drinking one night and everything, and they ran out of beer, and they was gonna go get some more beer and stuff. They took off, and well, while they was gone, a couple of people he was with that was, stayed by the fire and stuff, kept it going, things. Well, they said something came out of the edge of the wood line. Well, by the time my grandfather pulls back up, they're getting out, and they said that they thinking, it's just, people, So they're like, hey, come on over, we won't bother you or nothing, we're just, drinking a little bit, come on over. And said it just keeps getting closer, but it's like going back and, forth, side to side. And as it gets closer, they say it finally gets into the light of the fire, and they can see that it's like almost like different people that have been like mashed and fused together. And they said there's
Ooh.
arms. Yeah, dude. He said like arms and legs protruding in every different ways and directions. He said you could, he said they're both men and women. And he said only a couple of the heads had eyes. And he said what the ones that did was solid white. And said there's like they was looking everywhere. The arms was moving, and said, and it walked right into the fire and vanished.
And where was this at?
Now, this happened in a place called Grundy County, Tennessee.
I had a story similar to that, and there was a place. I think it was in Granbury, here in Texas, and I believe that's where it was where it happened. And there was a train wreck, and years ago, a bunch of people died. And I had a guy that I used to work with. I can't remember his name. I think his name was Sean. Man, this was years ago, like early '90s or something. And we worked together at this building, which was haunted. It was a building, and I'm sorry, hey, honey, it's my wife. My wife came to interrupt the show.
Really?
This is all I get is this cheap water. I don't get anything else to drink.
Oh,
I have to suffer.
we have something even better.
What am I, Job?
The legendary Shasta.
Jeez. I'll take a Shasta. We're a proud sponsor of Shasta Cola. Or they're a proud sponsor. I don't know how you say it.
Someone is.
Someone somewhere Ken Gerhardt is drinking Shasta. I can tell you that.
And Barton is recoiling.
And Barton is disgusted. Oh, we got a cold, delicious Shasta there. Look at that, Jared. Shasta Cola, the official drink of Paranormal Roundtable for now. Let's see what happens. So this guy, Sean, told me a crazy story, very similar. He said that he was walking underneath this bridge, and they, I believe, like I said, I think it was Granbury. I think that was where he was at. Like his grandparents lived there or something. So he was walking under a bridge, and there was like what he saw, what looked like 3 different people, and they were laying there like they were deceased, but their arms and legs and their bodies were all moved around. Let's put it that way. Not to get too graphic. And then when he got closer, this mashup of human beings began to move around, and there was like metal. And he said that one of them looked almost like it had developed like a steampunk type body.
Oh my God.
And he was with his cousin, I guess was like his best friend, but they were walking around in the creek looking for arrowheads. And it was right there near where the train had either derailed or had wrecked or something. And he said that it looked like they were developing into some sort of like entities, like beings, individual.
Wow.
Like they were moving apart or whatever. And then he said, we just like blinked our eyes and it was gone.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
man.
I don't know what that was. When you said that, that just kind of made me think about that. That was a weird thing that made my gears turn.
Right. That is definitely the 3 P's. Poop, pee, and pass out.
Yeah. Very good. Excuse me. So Jared, how long have you been doing this with the collecting of the stories and all that?
Like I said, almost roughly about close to a year. And like I said, it actually happened accidentally. Like I said, because when I first started doing my YouTube, I mostly did like comedy and things like that, and one day I was talking about just some just Appalachian history, just one an old story that had been passed down through the generations, in my family. And someone told me, said, that is just awesome. You should tell more of these. Well, I started doing that, and then for some reason, so I don't know, I told a ghost story, and everybody loved it. And I've just so ever since then, I've been doing like uh just stories about the old times, the old ways, and things like that, paranormal, witches, all stories that I heard growing up. Because when I was growing up, I was probably not classified as a strange child, because whenever the other kids would be playing, and the other the older folks would be visiting and stuff, and on the front porch talking about old stories, I wanted to sit and listen to them, you
Mhm.
know and I don't know, man. Like I said, so I really never dreamed that anybody would be interested in those old stories, but it's amazing how many that really are.
Yeah. And the thing is too, I mean, like people are interested in this kind of stuff, and your angle as like a comedy is pretty good, because that's what I do too. Like I try to break it up with comedy, because some people tell me that it's too scary.
Right,
Some of the
right.
material is like a little bit too scary, so they're like, I don't want to hear all this. It's creeping me out. A
Right,
couple of my female cousins are like, we like to listen to your show, but we get scared. And I'm like, well, that's why I make jokes and stuff.
right, right.
Because
Yeah.
it kind of breaks up because we just don't want sheer terror, and I've had people tell me, like, one lady was saying that she likes to listen to my show when she's out doing housework and stuff, and she had gone to take a shower or whatever, and had the show playing, and it scared her. Like she's like I was so scared, I felt like there was something on the other side of the shower, because she lived in a house that had some stuff going on.
Oh
And she's
wow.
like, and it was like, she goes, your show brought it to the forefront, made me think, hey, there's something here, which there
Right.
was. It turned out to be a good thing, actually, because she got out of that place. But
Well,
she
that's
said
good,
it
man.
was scary. It's like, I know that what we deal with can be frightening at times, but I
Oh yeah.
also think that it's important too, in a way that people need to know that this stuff happens and they're not crazy. And
Oh
like
yeah,
the
man.
guy that saw the car, somebody that said maybe a bootlegger from the past. I think that we see time slips, and we see parallel worlds, and we see people who've passed on. I think it's all there. I mean, it happens.
Oh yeah.
It just literally happens, and you can't discount it. But so many people try to. They try to pretend like it's not real. But just because you
Right.
pretend that something isn't real doesn't mean that it's not.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
But that's like I've told a lot of people, just because you see something that may look, I mean, absolutely horrifying, it may be it may not necessarily be something malevolent. It may not be nothing bad. It may just be saying, "Hey, look what somebody did to me. Can you help me?" You know.
Yeah.
But naturally, when you see something, if you see something like that, that's not what you're going to think. But
Well, like, and like we were talking about Christmas. Here's one I got. And this one was from Norway, and you tell me what you think of this one, Jared. Like, we were talking about Christmas stories. There was a guy who, when he was a kid, him and his brother were playing out in the garden. They had like a little garden or whatever, and his grandfather had covered it up or whatever with like a big tarp and whatever. And they weren't supposed to go in there and mess around, because the soil, he would use it every year in the spring. And
right.
they saw these three little entities, little creatures. He said they were, about 6 to 8 inches tall,
Oh wow.
and he said that they were wearing brown, or they were brown, skinned-looking little dudes, but they had red caps on their heads, like little red hats. And he
Huh.
said that later that night, one of them came into the house, and it looked like it was angry, and he sees it like literally on a tray table, and it had crawled up onto the tray table, and it was struggling to try to get onto his bed. And it
Wow.
looked like it was carrying a tiny little knife in its mouth as it was trying to climb up the bed. And at first I thought how silly that was. What is this little knife going to do? But if you stick somebody in the neck with it, I mean, it's, it could kill
Oh
you.
right. Right.
And
Yeah.
he's like, dude, I
Definitely.
was terrified. So he said, we started shaking the blanket. And then my brother comes in the room, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, there's this, because he's screaming. And he said it's this little gnome that we saw out in the garden earlier in Papa's garden. So he shook it off and they knocked it down and it got up and it ran and it went up to the windowsill. And when they went toward it, it went through the glass.
Oh my goodness.
Which is weird because I thought, if it could do that, why couldn't it just materialize on his bed?
Right.
And then the next day, he said that there was some weird accident that happened with the Christmas lights and it actually caught one of the curtains on fire and burned up a couple of their Christmas presents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a really weird story. He told me the guy's like 60 years old now, but he told me that story, well, in his 50s. But I just thought, you get so many weird stories, and it's like you can't just discount it and go, oh, these people are all just making this up, because you get so many.
Oh, yeah, and
so
they swear by it.
Yeah, and they swear by it, and they'll tell you, man. And I've had guys like, I was at one of these conferences, and I watched somebody kind of make a joke about somebody's encounter, and they were fighting. They were ready to fight. They were pretty angry. So I don't know. It's a really weird thing. I don't know if that has anything to do with Christmas, but it was like at the same time of the year of Christmas, and
Right.
you get all these weird stories. Do you have any Christmas stories by any chance?
I actually haven't heard many Christmas stories.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I mean, you would think there would be tons of them, but I actually haven't gotten any of those.
Because I hear Linda Godfrey used to say that there was an uptick in Dogman sightings in December. And that was something that me and a couple of my colleagues had kicked around, that there is an uptick in paranormal stories in December. And one of them, I had read a book, and I can't remember who the author was, but there was an entity, and I'll see if I can try to remember it, and I'll post it on the group on Facebook. There was an entity that would leave in December, like at Christmas time, it would go away, and it would sign its. I guess its signature was like a devil's tail, and it would sign it on the glass, like when it would fog over, and you could see it, and it was like then it would show back up like in mid-January, like it took a break at Christmas time.
Yeah.
It was a weird story. I remember reading about it. And I can't remember what it was, but I just remembered it was like it had something to do with this mirror, and it was like a demonic entity. It was a poltergeist type entity, and it harassed this family, but it would leave at Christmas time. It would like give them a reprieve. And They said that it never bothered them at that time of the year, but I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I mean, I had a weird thing happen to me around Christmas time. I was racking my brain trying to remember what time of year it was when one of the incidents happened to me in my old house where I used to live that was haunted, and me and my brother and two of my old roommates, my friends, had kind of come to the conclusion that we remember it being Christmas time, that we had a little tree, and it wasn't nothing unusual, but it was just that it was at Christmas time, and I remember. Like it was one of my more vivid memories, and typically I don't remember a lot of weird stuff happening at Christmas time, but I do remember that particular incident, and it just involved like seeing like this weird smoke above a friend of mine's head, and like it kind of just passed over his head and went through the room and just kind of floated out the back door. It was one of like 1,000 things that happened there, but that was right around Christmas time, and I remember the little Christmas tree getting knocked over, and our decorations going everywhere, and everybody going like, "What the heck was that?"
Right.
Yeah.
That was definitely. Oh wow.
Well, also my chiropractor, who's also a friend of mine, she has a amazing relief chiropractor. She's here in Round Rock. She gave me this story and said I could use it. She had a haunted Christmas tree. Do you remember that, Anthony? Yeah. And so she had a Christmas tree that would come up off of it. I mean, she doesn't have a lot of stories about a lot of weird stuff, but she had a Christmas tree that would come up off of the ground and like spin around and then fall back down, and all the decorations would fall off of it. And it did this multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then eventually they threw the tree out.
I can imagine so.
and I think it was an artificial tree too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it to her to let that happen multiple times before.
Heather let it happen multiple times before. Everybody knows her. She's like my wife's best friend. I grew up with her, and her and Nellie are really close. But she said finally, me and Maria, that's her old roommate. She's like, me and Maria got rid of it finally, and I'm like, her roommate was, where was she from? Haiti?
Yeah.
And her roommate was real superstitious, and she's like, you need to be getting rid of that Christmas tree. And she kept telling her, to get rid of it, but it kept doing what it was doing. And then,
The thing would be on fire
Right.
in my backyard immediately.
yeah, exactly. And I had a friend who had a jewelry, his wife got a jewelry box for Christmas when she was a kid. And her story was that the jewelry box had some sort of spirit attachment, that it would actually play and open up by itself in the middle of the night till one day she threw it out. And that was the end of it.
Wow.
Now, do you have any Dogman stories? Because people are asking about Dogman. Do you hear any stories about Dogman out there?
I actually have. I have one that someone sent in to me. Now, my personal experiences, I don't think I've had any. But there was this one lady sent me a story, said that her and her husband, she said back years ago when, and this is from Alabama, said back years ago, they her and her husband got together, and they was trying to find them a little back road to give them little smoochy, and said they got back there, and they was in the moon, it was shining, so it was amazing night. When all of a sudden she said that they just got this sense of they needed to leave, and quickly, and said they just stopped and was looking at each other, and said they was looking around, and said that this thing came out of nowhere and just shot past the car. And then all of a sudden it was behind the car. And she said for the life of her, she said the first thing that hit her mind was werewolf, and she said that it scared them half to death, and she said they cranked up and just hauled Bud out of there, and she was telling some people about it. Well, she said she never told anybody about it for a long time because, back years ago, when anything like that happened, most people kept it to themselves. But she said that later on, she got to doing some research and things like that on werewolf. She said, but none of the depictions and the experiences quite matched hers. And she said that she said it was similar, the way it kind of looked, said it was similar to a werewolf, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. She said skinnier. She said not really what you would picture as a werewolf. And someone told her, said, hey, it could be Dogman. Well, when she got to doing research on that, she said it fit. And she said ever since then, she said we never did go back to that spot.
Yeah. I don't think I would either. Oh man. So in that area where you're from, I know that's one of for me, one of the 4 or 5 major hot spots in the country. Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan,
Right.
Wisconsin, Texas, Oklahoma. Those are some of the main spots to me that get a lot of Dogman reports, at least from what I get. I get them from all over the country now, but Texas alone could take up an entire volume of just stories. What I don't understand though is how so many people, like what we were, one of the people in the chat said, I have heard that huge door clang in the woods. It makes you sick because you absolutely know it does not belong. It feels like something got let out of somewhere below.
Right. Yeah, I've heard people say that, man.
Mhm.
It's crazy. And it really makes you wonder, how these, the cryptids, the different ones, how they had, the different mannerisms and everything, that affects you differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's really wild.
Yeah, and we get stories of people hearing that loud bang noise or like a metal clanging, banging noise shortly before they see a Dogman or a Bigfoot, which
Right.
makes you wonder, like, what the heck is going on there,
Right.
Yeah.
Is it something about them and the atmosphere that's doing it, or are they have something with it, like they're clanging their something together? Makes you
Mhm.
wonder.
It came
Well-
from an underground facility.
Or came from an underground facility. But one of the things that happens with the paranormal, I know that I've heard of, like, people that have ghosts in their house, ghost encounters, they'll hear like a popping noise or like a crackling noise. Like we've experienced that here
Right.
in the studio. And then something weird will happen or whatever. Yeah, it's just it's a weird thing, dude. And when you take Christmas and you mix it with the paranormal, surprisingly, you come up with quite a bit of. I mean, I've been working on this episode all month, and I've been getting lots of feedback from different people.
Right.
And I thought, man, there's quite a bit here. I didn't think I'd have enough to do another Krampus, but I had two, and then I got the third one, and I thought, oh, I could definitely do that, and then I could throw the Santa Claus sightings in there. And when you were a kid, did you believe in Santa Claus, Jared?
I actually did, man. I truly did.
Yeah.
And I never had an experience where I saw him. One night, I will say, I actually got up right after mom and dad told me to go to bed. I actually snuck out and actually ate the cookies, and I left an apology note. I got my present, so I guess he wasn't so disappointed.
That's good. Well, Jared, thank you for coming on the show. It's been real. Let us know, tell the audience how they can reach you.
Oh, man, you can check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Everything is under Jared King TV, and I welcome everybody in as family. If you have a channel or anything like that, I'll try to share you out and help you out as much as possible.
Is Queen Laura TV your wife?
Yes, yep.
She's been commenting on
Yes.
some of the stories you said.
Yeah, she's the boss.
Yeah, she says here it kind of makes you wonder if that movie Cabin in the Woods could be based on something. Laura, I just watched that with my wife. Nellie was like,
it's a good movie.
We watched it, I think, the first week of December. She showed it. I finally watched it, and she's like, "What'd you think?" And I thought, I mean, I get so many weird stories. It's like it's like hard to be impressed by fiction, But I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I mean,
it makes you wonder, because I've heard so many times, that even the strangest stories comes from some type of truth.
Mm-hmm. Somebody just said Jared has a radio voice that can entice you as you listen. You do.
Oh, man, thank you so much.
Keep doing what you do, Jared. Definitely.
Yeah, and
Thank you so much, all of you. God bless you.
And if you want to check out his channel, I just pinned it in the comments, so you can go click on that link and you'll be on Jared's channel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, Jared, for showing up, and thank you for being a listener.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure, man. I love this show. It's all you guys are awesome, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. Like I said, and definitely you guys need to come over and hang out with us on the stream one night.
Yeah. You let me know. Just like I said, I don't do a lot of other shows, but if I'm friends with someone, I'll make an exception. And so I
Right
consider
on,
you
brother.
a friend, Jared. I appreciate it, man.
Same here. Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Y'all have a good one. Merry Christmas and God bless.
Merry Christmas. God bless you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Bye.
Later.
So that was Jared King, and he has a channel, and you can check him out. He does a lot of work with the Appalachian area, which there is a lot of weird stuff in that area. That is one of the weirdest. I mean, I don't even want people always invite me to go out there and do stuff, and I'm just like, I don't want to mess around in the Appalachians, dude. First of all, there's the wrong turn. Okay. And I don't know,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, there's some people out there that live out there. They're the poorest people in the entire country.
Yeah, there's actually a very interesting documentary, it's like a independent documentary on YouTube that's about this family in the Appalachian Mountains, and they're like inbred for generations, but but you see just like how destitute these people are in certain regions, and it's just it's wild to see the contrast between how they live and how like our idea of poverty is.
Yeah, what
like
we think poverty
yeah.
is like the hood or the ghetto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I had somebody tell me a story, and this isn't Christmas related or anything like that. This is a dogman story, but I had a guy that told me a story. He lives in the projects in San Antonio, and he was telling me that back in the mid, I think it was the mid to late 80s, they had a rash of werewolf sightings. And of course, there's the story of the Converse werewolf, but this is not Converse. This was in South San Antonio. And he said that there were people that were reporting seeing a werewolf, and I'll get into the whole thing. There's a whole long story to it. But it happened near the projects. And he He said that the garbage there smelled terrible because there's always like a ton of garbage. I don't know why.
Right.
I worked out in the projects for years and years, and they always have like these garbage cans that are just overflowing with trash, and they throw them. The trash just piles up and it sits there. And so he said that he would smell this weird, overpowering, garbagey smell in the woods outside of where he lived. And he said it smelled just like the garbage at the apartment complex. And I thought, well, maybe this thing was eating the trash. I don't know. Because even if it is metaphysical, like we've talked about, like Linda used to say and tell us, she believes that they come into our realm, they have to eat and drink and breathe just like we do. And they become more real, more flesh and blood. And so I always thought maybe that's what that was. Why the trash is, I have no idea. I don't know, because I think it's because they don't give them enough trash cans or something.
Yeah.
Like they only give them like one or two, because they're not really overly concerned with people who are, below the poverty line or whatever.
They also might not go and dump it regularly as they might in a better neighborhood.
Like I said, they don't care.
Yeah.
But if you take the poorest people from the ghetto and you times it times 10, you got the Appalachian people. Not necessarily like Jared and people like that, but like there are some very, very poor people that live in absolute abject poverty. I mean, they don't read, they don't write, they don't go to school. It's one of the charities that I donate to is Christian Appalachian Project, or CAP. That's one of my charities. So if you guys are looking for a charity, there it is. So, folks, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our Christmas episode.
Well, how many giveaways have we gotten so far?
I was hoping to sneak out of here before I had to give it away.
Dang.
Just kidding.
Ruined it.
Darn it. Oh, Tony. You had to be a good guy.
I would have gotten away with it, too, from a few meddling kids.
Meddling kids.
Remember what I did for you.
You dumb little dragon. Actually, I have another person. But I don't know if they're still in the chat, so it might not do any good.
Well, I think we should definitely send Jared something. Jared.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's pick Jared. Jared, I mean.
And his wife?
And his
I mean,
wife, yeah. Jared, I'm going to see if I have any of the shirts left of the, what do you call them? Dogman Conference shirts.
Yeah, the conference shirts.
If we have any Dogman Conference shirts, or if I have any of Barton Nunley's shirts, I'll send you those, because those are definitely, and I'll throw in some other stuff too. Don't worry.
well, I definitely just subscribed to that channel.
So you guys give me your information. Jared's got my information on the Messenger. You guys can send me your info so I can send it to you. And Danita, like I said, you know what to do. Hit me up on email. Who else?
There's a guy who goes by the handle, it's just XN. He was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still here. But
XN, are you in?
Yeah, he just commented.
Where is
Okay.
he?
He commented.
Comment if you
yeah,
are
because
there.
he was saying that I guess he has some kind of chronic condition or something. But he was saying how the show helps take his mind off of it. So and I don't think he's won before. So it'd be nice to send him something.
Okay, so what's his name?
Well, X and
Yeah, I don't
Literally.
know his name.
his
It's
last
just-
comment was, "Do you think ghosts can fart? They look like gas, kind of."
I don't know, but they can smell bad. I can tell you that. I
Yeah.
smelled weird stuff. I used to, at my old house, I'll tell you what I used to smell all the time. I know this because my friend's dad used to wear this stuff. Stetson cologne.
Yeah.
I would smell Stetson cologne, then I would smell rose water. We all heard, me, Jerome, Willie, Diablo, Scorpion, Squid, Pete, all of us, Loki, Chief. We all smelled it. It was like rose water, and then there was Stetson cologne, and then we smelled cigar smoke.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you what kind of cigar. Maybe you, Anthony, you're more of a cigar aficionado. I used to smoke cigars, but my blood pressure, I can't do it no more.
Can't go wrong with Gurkhas or Monte Cristos.
Rachel Poole. Hey, Rachel. Merry Christmas to you. I am magnificent. Says, I need a Dogman tee. You're magnificent, huh? Prove it to us. Show us your
I
magnificence.
don't know. It's even, he took it a step further. It says, I am magnificence.
Yeah.
So he's magnificence
He
itself.
is itself, the embodiment
Yeah.
of magnificence.
But yeah, so the guy we just picked, XN, like I said earlier, make sure you send him with an email or a message with your mailing information and your name. Otherwise, can't expect anything in the mail if we don't know where to send it.
Apple says, my mom's birthday is today. She turns 38. Can you please say happy birthday to my mom? Happy birthday to your mother, Apple. What's her name? Wendy Eater asks the question, Wolf, are things in your home with yes, still weird? Yes. Yeah, we actually got a late start on, we found somebody who can do a PRT calendar. So what we're going to do is try to work on that for next year. And I'm going to be taking art submissions based on different stories that we've told on the show. So if you would like to be a part of the calendar, and we're gonna produce, some of them and just give them away, so for next year, at the end of the year next year, if we're here again next year, God willing, we will give away
Calendars.
PRT calendars.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool. So how many giveaways have we gotten so far?
So Apple says her name is Holly. Apple, how about you win?
Yeah. There you go.
Give us yours. It says Holly, Garther Angel. Her name is Holly. It says, I am magnificence on Vic's channel. Dogman encounters encounters are worse than well, you can come on my show and we can talk, and I'll actually ask you questions and we can go more in depth in it instead of you just talking and him sitting there. Somebody said it's hard to stay unbored indoors when it's cold outside. P-Head, also thank you for that donation. Nuts7074, thank you for the donation. Aaron Shaw, thank you for the donation. Everyone that donated to help the show, we super duper appreciate it, man. Right now is a crunch for us because of all this stuff that we've had to do. Adam DeLorme says, can I win? Yeah, Adam, what do you want to win? Tell me what you want.
If you don't answer within 5 seconds, you get nothing. 5,
You got
4, 3,
36.
2, 1. Oh,
Nothing.
late.
You get nothing.
Oh,
Beanie.
Oh, he did it.
You did it? Beanie. Okay, Adam got it.
Can I choose Tony Dolores? No Lores?
No Yodis.
No, yours. I think he's already won. Tony,
Has he?
don't lie. I think you have.
Yeah, I think I remember him winning.
Fat Squatch, you won before too, but did you win a hoodie? Because I think Fat Squatch, he donated earlier, so I chose him.
There's a guy at the start of the show who was with us. He said he's never won before.
I was trying to choose him.
His name is Matt Keen. but
That's
I don't know if he's here. If
Matt's still around.
Matt, if you're still with us and you want to win, you better leave a comment.
That's the guy I
Otherwise
was
we can't
hoping to
pick you.
choose, but I couldn't remember his name, and I didn't see his comment anymore.
No.
Somebody says that camel hat. You mean the camo hat?
Oh yeah.
Let me see.
It's definitely a nice one. And these new hats are nice because it's a leather stitching up here. It's really, and it's like a leather first
Show 'em the hat.
switch. Okay. What it is, it's a I don't need headphones anymore. It's a leather stitching on top of it, like a silver one, and they etch away the black so that the silver shows, and it's just really nice.
Yeah, and the same patch is on the beanie as well.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, you're getting something really nice.
Danita says, how do I send artwork on Facebook group? Yes, you can send it through there. It says magnificence. What'd she say? May not be what a claim by a Shaw. Want a blessing from Wolf. Eduardo. Well, God can bless you. Thank you, Heather, for that. She said people hit up that thumbs up, show some love for these hardworking guys. Yes, it does take a lot of work to do that. Wolf, tell us a ghost story. I already did, Pork and Beans. I told several. So, yeah, you just got to check it out. So who else do we got? Yes, Frank, thank you. Send those pictures to me. I appreciate it. Jody Bloom 73 asks a very important question. It says, are you going to get long sleeve tees merch in? Dorothy, I'm going to tell you what we'll do. I'm going to give you the information to find me, and you can come and pick up your merch because we've talked before, and you can just come and pick it up. How about that? That'd be a Christmas present for you. You just come by the studio. Just give me just message. I'll give you the address. You come by, and you can just pick it up here. Somebody says, "Can we buy the gray hats if we don't win?" Yes, and I believe they go for 35. They're about 35. I'll sell it for 30. I mean, I think that it was with all that we paid. I think it was like not much less than that. It was expensive. This particular one's the stitching on it. You see it? What do we pay for these? 25, 30?
I think so.
Something like that. Now these, I remember we got, because we had so many of them, we got a better deal. We don't have any more after we run out of those. Yeah, I mean, I take 25, 30 bucks. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're not really trying to make money off of those. Mostly for the advertising here. We got 9 people.
We need a couple more, huh? What about Gregory?
Gregory Ellison?
Yeah.
Gregory, have you won before?
He says never won, but I get to listen.
Okay, Gregory, you can win. How about that? Now, folks, you know what to do. Hit me up on Facebook Messenger or email me. And I'll try to get them out as tonight or next week once the holidays end. The holidays. What do we call it the holidays? What is it? It's just Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah.
There's like one other holiday that
Well, I mean, I guess
because of that one other holiday, we have to call it something else. This is pretty ridiculous.
I guess there's Christmas and New Year's, but everybody knows you're talking about Christmas.
New Year's, like a week after.
Yeah. And it's really not even much of a holiday.
New Year's is just you pop some
you're just kinda
fireworks
there.
and get drunk, because what people do. That's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
You make a bunch of what are they
People go out of
called?
the way to say Happy Holidays, so they can avoid saying Christmas.
Yeah.
I had somebody I was going back and forth with the other day. I was like, Merry Christmas. They were like, Happy Holidays. And I was like, Merry Christmas. And then she was like, Happy Holidays. And I was like, Merry Christmas. We stood there looking at each other. And then she was like, Happy Holidays. And once again, I repeated it. And I said, Merry Christmas. And then she gave me a ticket. I was like, Officer, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been able to give you like that. I was drunk. And they were like, get out of the car. And then they wanted me to do all this picking my nose and all kinds of stuff. Then I took off running. I escaped, thank goodness. Most of the police now are very overweight because of all the defund the police. Now we have like a lot of overweight people who used to just push pencils, and now they're running around. I'm kidding. But that really is the case. A lot of people are like, one guy told me, point blank. Remember the guy over at downtown at the one place we're doing the fire watch at?
Yeah.
He was like, I was 3 months from retirement. And like, he pulled him out of because of the defund, whatever. They have people that were just desk jockeys.
About to get a pension or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got another person who I want to pick.
1, 2, 3,
They
4,
just left a
5, 6,
comment.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got one more.
Okay, so this guy or girl, T Cutler, or the T Cutler, he or she says, I've been with you since the DER days, still waiting to win. Would love a camo hat.
He just
Oh,
It's
and
funny.
he just
He just
dropped a super
donated,
chat
too.
right before I said that, so thank
Yeah,
you for
that's
that.
funny.
Much
T.
appreciated.
Cutler, okay. Camo hat it is. Let me write it down. Gregory Ellison, I need to know what it is that you want. Tell me what you want. I'm going to give you the option XN, Apple, Adam Delorme, Gregory Ellison. Tell me what it is that you guys want. We got enough for one more hoodie. But we got shirts. Give me your shirt sizes if you guys want shirts. We got shirts and we got a few hats. Apple says a hoodie, so you get the hoodie. Adam. Didn't
Beanie,
Adam
please.
say he wanted a beanie?
Yeah, beanie, please.
Beanie. Okay. And then we got Gregory. He needs to let us know what he wants. He said he wants a conference T-shirt or XXL, anything logo. That's Gregory. We got any? Well, I think we got some more. I think we got any your size. I'll see if we can find some. Just need y'all sizes. Everybody needs to send me their sizes and your information. Don't just send me your address because I need your information too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got room for one more. We got room for one more. Julie says, congrats to all the winners. Julie, have you won? Because if not, you can be the last one. Maynard W says, any more left? Yeah, how many of these camos do we have left? Not many.
Yeah, I mean, outside
we
of
have a
these two,
handful of
we
them.
might have just a few left in the storage room.
She said she won. Okay. Kashif says, I have no one. You have no one? No one on Christmas? Heather Melissa says she's never won.
He said both. Jeez.
All right, Kashif, you. This is Heather Melissa says she hasn't won. There was somebody up here earlier that was saying that Athena, I think, or whatever. Are you still there, Athena? Have you won anything? Well, if you guys can hear me, Kashif, I'm gonna pick you, and then Athena, if you're still listening, hit me up. I'm gonna pick you too, and then I'm gonna take Heather Melissa. Heather Melissa, if you haven't won. Gregory Ellison, Josh was the only reason I listened to Voldemort. A lot of people said that. I used to re-listen to his episodes. Athena, you won. Okay, so tell me what you want. Tell me what you want when you really, really want to. Yeah, okay. Anyway, if you want to wear my shirts, you got to be my friend. What the heck was that song even about? Like, what in the heck did that? Is that, if you want to be my lover, you got to be my friend? Like, says, when did being friends with a girl get you?
Oh, I thought it was about like you have to get the approval of her friends or something.
No, she says, if you want to be my lover, first you have to be my friend. Friendships never end. Yeah, they do. As soon as that is involved, friendships go kaput.
It's literally called friend zones for a reason.
Yeah, and then if you start off in the friend zone, you stay there. I'm just like, I'm not doing anything for you and being your friend. I'm interested romantically. And that's what Nelly tried to. When me and Nelly first started talking, let me tell you something. Nelly tried to friend zone me. First time we ever talked was on Valentine's Day, and we talked for like 8 hours on the phone, which I've never done with anybody like in my life that long. It was weird. I mean, and then I was like, no, I'm not going in the friend zone. Sorry. It's not happening.
Yeah, I
She's like,
thought it
"Let's
was.
just be friends." I'm like, yeah, I have plenty of friends.
I thought it was get with my friends. Not.
No, it's just first you got to be my friend, not get with my friends.
I
thought-
mean,
thought
it's
it
not
was-
just me. It's other people that said that.
who said that. Well, then that's a
Uh,
Mandela effect because it was like
Elastic.
it says if you want
Tony
to,
No
you know
Lord.
what? Ask Nelly. Nelly should know. It says if you want to be my lover, first you got to be my friend. Friendships never end. That's how it goes.
Hang on, let me look it up.
Be my lover, you gotta get with my friends.
Oh
Yeah,
my
see?
gosh! So
Told
it's
you.
changed. At least in my timeline, it did because it was if you want to be my lover, first you got to be my friend.
Well, maybe they changed it on the second time they
friendships
say it or
never
something.
end. That's because it was like, and I thought that's bullcrap. Yeah, they do.
Gary says
Get with
it's
my
always been.
friends. So what? She's gonna pass him around to all her friends. That's a horrible thing to
Yeah,
do.
that makes it sound
Like a
even
guy
weird.
would be complaining about that. Oh darn! I got to be with all your friends.
I'm gonna be with someone. I got to jump through hoops to
Oh, it says it both ways.
impress.
Says it both ways.
I think so.
Okay, well then there you go. All right. Anyways, folks, I wouldn't tell somebody, hey, you want to be with me? You gotta be with my friends. Friendships never end, folks. And if you want to hear the best rap group that's ever been around, I still can't figure out whether these guys are hamming it up or they're the real deal, as stupidity would have it. But I put it on Facebook. Go and check it out. It's pretty ridiculous. They're called. Here it goes right here. Oh my gosh. Then the guy pops out of a refrigerator.
It's just work of art, if I'm being honest.
It's incredible. They're the new Island Boys, dude. But you know what? Just because you're not good doesn't mean you won't be popular. Just look at
Talent. You don't need that
Voldemort.
anymore.
He doesn't. He's a terrible interviewer. He's just like, yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, and everybody's talking, and he just sits there. So I mean, you don't have to be good at what you do to make money and be profoundly popular. I mean, you can just be there. Just show up, participate. You know, you'll get a trophy. You know, a lot of people that he's interviewed, I'd like to have them come on the show and let me interview them, and then we can go in depth and actually talk about some stuff and maybe get to the bottom of a few things instead of just going, ooh, ah, wow, ooh, ah. What's that song? How'd it go, Alec? Ooh, ah, ooh. I can't believe my brother was really listening to that.
Yeah, it was pretty
Ooh,
weird.
ah, ooh, ah, ooh. Diablo.
It was like, rah, 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 rah.
Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Rah, rah, rah.
It's chimpanzee
ooh.
metal.
What was this group called? The Warwick Boys, or what are they called? The one I just showed, Warwick.
Oh,
Warwick?
I have no idea. I don't know.
They're incredibly horrible, incredibly bad. But I think that they're trying to be legitimate rappers, which makes it even better. But I think that they should become popular just because they're so bad that it should literally become like they should become household names for how bad they are. And I think that people should get them on their talk shows and interview them and get them all riled up because they're mad. I'd love to have one of them come and just talk to them about how stupid they are.
That's you're probably right, Heather Sargent. They are disturbed.
Yeah. But anyways, folks, enough about Spice Girls and Spice Boys and kids and Island Boys and all the weird rappers and all the other, you know, Lil Milk Dud and Little Stanky Pants and all whatever all these people's names are. Folks, check out the show. We're here every Friday. We do this, we do it up, and we do the giveaways. We did the giveaways. I kept my word. Athena, give me your information. Kashif, T. Cutler, Gregory Ellison, Adam DeLorme, Apple, XN, Laura, Jared, of course, Sailor Nemesis, Aaron Shaw, David Buckholz, Fat Squatch 94. Thank you to everyone who donated. Without your donations, we can't continue. I'm telling you right now, we're not going to be able to keep going. It just can't happen.
Thank
We
you, everyone
appreciate
who liked the show as well.
Like and subscribe, please. Like and subscribe. Patreon.com/PRT podcast. Patreon.com/PRT podcast. If you become a monthly donator, 3 months at $10 tier, get you a swag bag from us with a bunch of merch. $20 1 month, and you get a swag bag. So it's worth it. to go and become a Patreon supporter, Patreon member. I'm trying to get the Patreon built up to where I can start doing some shows on Patreon too. And it says Apple says thanks for giving my mom the birthday present. I got one for you too, Apple. Give me your size and your information along with your mother, and I can get you both. Okay. Merry Christmas to everybody. Merry Christmas to all the winners. And it's my pleasure to do the giveaways. I love to do it. I love all you guys. Y'all have a good Christmas. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes peeled for Krampus and Santa Claus. Because be real.
Now, wait, does Krampus start from December 5th? And just continue?